show and is actually listening to the show for some advice.
Oh my God.
How about just stop? You people are not going to be able to unravel the Rubik's Cube.
You know what? Here's the advice, you dolt. Here's the advice. Everything you think you know as football fans is already baked into the line.
Mayo experience.
Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Mayo experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, the regular season finale of the Spread Pick Show, the free money Cust Corner mini. But don't worry, folks, we will be here with you all throughout the Super Bowl, maybe even a few weeks after that, because I've been asking people, and you can always reply to the newsletter email, because that's where I actually get it forwarded to me and I get to see it. If you're here for NFL only, what are some shows or ideas that would keep you around until next football season? Because a lot of new people have come back because golf has started again, but then the show kind of morphs into more of a golf-heavy show than an NFL-heavy show when NFL is no longer on. But are there football shows that you would want to see throughout the course of the year to keep you around, keep you coming back to the Pat Mayo Experience? Because we need to boost those numbers. In order to do that, what I need from you good people out there is to rate, review, and subscribe, and turn on those auto downloads. You rate it 5 stars, Pat Mayo Experience on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. I am giving away a free entry into the Race for the Mayo Cup season-long fantasy golf one and done, where there's $80,000 for first place. It's $200 per entry, and you get yourself into the draw. Even if you've done it before, you can go do it again on Apple and Spotify. Doing one of each gets you 2 ballots into the draw. I'll be giving away the winner on next Monday's show. And here's the thing. Even if you have no interest in playing in the one and done, A, you can help me out. B, if you are chosen as the winner and you don't want the free entry, I'll just give you $200. How about that? Then I'll draw someone else who wants the entry. So please go do that. We even have the Spotify question of the day. If you click on the Spotify episode, you can vote in the polls that are up there per episode anyway. So a lot of fun in that. If you want to play in the one and done league, by the way, because it's over half full already, over 1,000 new people have joined over the past day now that they've remembered that golf is coming back. Go to fantasygolfchampionships.com and get in there. There's no DraftKings Listeners League this week for football because it's week 18, but there is one for golf if you want to jump in that for the Tournament of Champions. Geoff, we're back to 2 a week. We're doing golf. We made our bets. It's been a lot of fun this week.
Golf is back. I sometimes wish they took a little more time off, but it is back. And truth be told, football season, I didn't have a lot of fun. So I'm kind of ready for it to just be the games that really matter and get this nonsense over with.
Okay. Well, the coin is challenging me for the picks title. It's almost down. Unless Geoff has an amazing week, it's down to me and the coin for the overall spread picks champion for this season. So the coin is here. Paul's behind the camera, and on the line, a man who is dubious that Geoff actually has inside sources patrolling Disneyland for John Harbaugh. It is Tim Andergust.
Tim Andergust.
That's not my name. I don't know. It's been a year where a lot of people in a lot of circumstances have claimed they had confirmed evidence of stuff, and then it didn't happen. So I remain skeptical. This is the regular season finale, and because Geoff changes the criteria of when football season ends. Some years for him, it's the divisional round. Other years, it's a championship game. Other years, it's this week. I'm not sure when he thinks the NFL season is officially over anymore, because unlike him, I think the season is over at the Super Bowl, and I cheer for my team to win every week. I'm a simple man. He chooses various random weeks when the season ends and likes to cheer against his team sometimes. So I really don't know where his mind is on this right now.
I don't even know how to respond to this attack. Football season does end with the conference.
Admit that you're wrong on all fronts.
Football season ends. Hold on. Let's be clear. And clearly you're going to make me relitigate this again in a month, and I'll do it. Football season ends with the conference championship. Unless you've got one of your favorite team in the Super Bowl, unless you've got some incredible future, the Super Bowl is the cherry on the top of the sundae that had everything in it. Everything. That's it. It's like a nice little feature. But now you're watching football with people who are like interested what hors d'oeuvres you're having.
That's
week me. Week one crushes the Super Bowl. Conference championship week is a pinnacle. Super Bowl is like an after party to the season where your family's invited. That is the truth. As for how you fan, there's no right or wrong way, man. There's no right or wrong way. You can fan how you want to fan. You can cheer for your team to win these meaningless games and to have no organizational turnover at certain points of an era. I love unconditionally, but I do not support unconditionally. So I guess that lies the difference. There's nothing worse than the dead zone of winning like 8 games. That would be death. 7-8 wins would be death. If you're going to be bad, at least be really bad. And you can think that's a cop-out to me in this season, which is I've hated, but no, that's how I've always been. I've always been. The first time you met me and the Chargers sucked, which is probably the first time you met me.
You mean that's every year?
No, but at least like they do once every 3 years, sprinkle in like a fun year. And that was part of having Phillip and Justin and the other. Season,
fair enough.
The other
San Diego's a nice
ended,
city. How was the Holiday Bowl?
We've already done this. My nephew did not want to go. I wanted to go.
Looks like it would be a great game to have been to.
What do you want me to do?
He wants you to lose most insane to him. He's just trying to rile you up. But here's the thing. I just got the ballot for the Custies. They're locked and ready to go. So I think starting on next week's show, voting will open for the Custy Awards. I did want to kind of circle back to what you said, though, about championship weekend is kind of the actual end of the NFL season, how week 1 is better. If you had to power rank like your favorite sporting events in terms of pure excitement that you get fired up for, we can go roundtable on this. We can even do a draft if we wanted to do it. What do you think those 4 are going to be? Because for me, it's week 1, the Masters, divisional weekend in the NFL where you have the 8 best teams remaining. You still have the 4 games. I'm trying to think, and probably the waking up at like 1 a.m. to watch the first tee at the Open Championship. I would say those are the 4 things I really look forward to every year in sports.
Yeah, I mean, day 1, 2, March Madness, for at least is probably still up there for people. I would honestly put yesterday, New Year's Day, college football set. Like, to me, I loved yesterday like I loved an NFL divisional sort of day. I was so excited. I woke up excited. The games were, other than being egregiously late, were fantastic. So that would be on there too for me.
Tim?
Well, I think actually you glossed it over. I think when I mentioned this, you'll take one of your 4 out. Thanksgiving Day football is more exciting to me than week 1. I look forward to that more than I look forward to week 1. So I would replace Thanksgiving. Because it's not just the games, it's the camaraderie, it's the experience.
But week 1 is the camaraderie.
Not to the degree that Thanksgiving is in my opinion.
No. We're different.
Maybe your experiences maybe are different.
I've put this out there, and I'll shame these people again if I have to. And I did it week 1. If you are not with your boys on week 1, you need to reevaluate like your situation. And you assuming give it all you got to like your wife and your kids all the time, and on week 1 they don't let you out for like 6 hours, 4 hours, even just the early games. You are living a negative EV. I will judge you. I will sit there literally. I will judge my friends week 1. I will take attendance like it is the exam. I will hold them accountable. Thanksgiving, I don't. Like, at least for us, people have jobs. Like, it's still Thursday for us.
And that, again, that goes back to the experience that everyone lives. So that'll be the Spotify question of the day. If you want to go onto Spotify, set those auto downloads, rate and review. You can review it 5 stars and answer the question, what sporting event gets you the most excited every single year? Because for Thanksgiving, it's become a tradition with myself and all of my friends, Tim included, Geoff, that everyone like takes the day off work to come and watch Thanksgiving football
of course.
with us.
Thanksgiving. It's what's done.
Yeah, but week 1 is the more tradition, but it's where the 7-8 TV system is in activation. And it's week 1 and everyone is excited, even if you cheer for a team that's supposed to be horrible. As a football fan, like you've got some swagger. Even if you fantasy, like you aren't dead yet, you are alive. Week 1 is the pinnacle. It is the pinnacle. To a child, Christmas Day is almost as good as life will ever get. I don't even get to experience Christmas, but I assume it's fantastic. I love it. I'm jealous of it. I say that a lot. In my old age, that is like week 1. It is week 1. It's Christmas Day.
I'm just reviewing some of these Custy ones. The worst take category for the Custies this year might be the most competitive category of all time.
Oh, I hear this all the time.
No, there's 17 things that are listed. Just here are 2 of them. One is when you ate the corn dog sideways and said that everyone does it that way.
That's true.
Listen, if we get into a game, if you, I'll just put it out there. Like that is, you go hire your poster team. Like that's the only poster I need is you eating that corn dog.
So there's that one. There's the washing bananas with dish soap is on there. And there's another one I totally forgot about, which is Tim claimed that Power Slap was extremely popular because he saw it on TikTok and heard it was being broadcast on Rumble.
Yeah, and I also heard that Tim's New Year's was kind of spoiled because he was just knee deep in campaign meetings as his team is just spinning. They don't know what to do.
We're actually in a very good place.
This Hamlin thing.
We're in a very good place, and I'm glad that the voting will take place when Hamlin wins because the meltdown on awards night.
There's no meltdown. I already feel like I won. Like they're like, what do you mean? We're here. We're at this week. The odds are what they are. I never said he could never win, would never win. I've literally laid it out perfectly.
It's honestly, it's just ugly.
You do not like my choice of words. You think I can be insensitive?
I don't.
That is not what is being voted on.
Tim,
it is not who is the most insensitive person.
I mean,
look at that.
I would win
over.
that.
Well, if it was after you referred to the Chargers as terrorists last week, it should have been over.
Really? You think that was gonna push him over the edge?
Can you pull the quote?
Geoff has said a lot of terrible things this year. Well, as they say in Game of Thrones, the North remembers. And
Tim, it's not the who's the most terrible person award. I would win that. That's not the award.
I have told you, and I'm pretty certain about this, is that there is a groundswell of people who need an excuse, a permission structure to not vote for me for a year. And all I need to do is provide them an off-ramp for 1 year to not have to vote for me. They're looking they don't want to give MJ 6 consecutive MVPs, even though they know he's the best. They simply are looking for an excuse to park their ballot elsewhere.
You're so
screwed. That is my path to victory.
Hold on, are you?
But you know what?
Did you just admit? Did you admit you're the Michael Jordan of insanity?
What I believe is there are enough voters out there that think that.
This is what happened.
If I'm going to win the election, if I'm going to win this election, I have to, as Rumsfeld used to say, you have to go to war with the army you've got. So I have got to win this battle the only way that I can right now, which is that I need people who would rather vote for me to lend your vote to Geoff for a year. But I have to give them a reason to do it. I have to lay out in the clear light of day the various terrible, frustrating, amusing, or off-the-wall things Geoff has said this year so that I provide a permission structure for people to say, you know what, I can vote for him again next year. This year, Geoff needs to be punished for dancing on the potential grave of the PGA Tour president, or needs to, be punished for essentially taking excitement in taking the comeback player of the year award away from
I
a
feel like
person
you're
who,
giving a concession speech right now. And it's
what I'm saying
it's
is
the
I have
beginning of
devised
January.
a
Your
theory of the
campaign is
case.
now in shambles, and you have to resort to this.
My campaign has a real theory of the case, which is that this is how we're going to win this.
This is a pivot. This is a hard pivot. This is a hard pivot.
This is how I am going to win this election. And I don't care if I win it because people think, to heck with it. I'm just going to vote for Geoff. I don't care. Those votes are votes. They can vote for me again next year if their heart's so inclined. In fact, I would, I'll encourage them to do so. But this year, you vote for Geoff because Geoff has said some things that are definitely worthy of a 1-year vote, and I'm going to provide that off ramp for people to do so. So you better make sure you're on the ground in Kenosha County, Wisconsin, pal, because there is going to be a very strong campaign coming. Let's just put it that way, a very strong campaign.
Those are all Geoff voters right there. In Kenosha.
There you have it.
Hey, they're good people on both sides. On all sides. On all sides. Tim.
1 second. There's one more here. Just I mean, this is going to be a real throwback for everyone who's forgotten what's happened this year. There's some really good ones in here, but I think my single favorite one is most Andercursed non-sports. One of the nominees is Lateria Loca, the game show that Tim got canceled on CBS.
Still sitting on my DVR. I refuse to delete the episodes.
Well, there's only like 4 ever, so you can watch them all in perpetuity.
I was planning to watch them and give an analysis, but then the show got canceled. So I was like, what's the point at this stage of the game? Oh, my goodness.
Well, let's review what happened last week. You're going to have a very good week, Tim. You need to go 15-1 this week in order to get above 500.
I deserve what I get
for the year.
I deserve to be down.
You were 6-9 last week, bringing you to 120 and 133. Geoff has dropped to 3rd place after a 7-8 week because the Vegas and Colts game pushed, so it's not included. 129 and 124. The Coin is in 2nd place after an 8-7 week, 131 and 122, and I have regained the lead. Or I keep the lead, I guess, after a 9-6 week, 133 and 120. So Geoff could still take the title here. He needs to beat me and the Coin by at least 4 games. I got my Super Lock right. I have clinched the Super Lock title with the Bears -3, 10-7 for the year. Geoff got his right with Denver -5.5. Didn't matter that the line went off 3-point shorter or whatever it was. Geoff was on it anyway. He improves to 6-9 because he has 2 pushes this year. And Tim, you lost. That drops you to 7-10, which means that it's between you and Geoff to see who comes in 2nd place this week.
Yeah. I had a chance at it. Yeah, my team was covering with like a minute and a half left to go in the game. They just couldn't play defense.
And 7-point teaser loss because you had Carolina on it.
Yeah, what a complete and utter choke job that was. My goodness.
So it is your best.
But it's my I've got a free money that is definitely going to hit this week too. So
I mean, isn't that what you say every week?
Well, yeah, but I really feel good about this one. There's even a theme to it.
Oh, good. So you're taking a page out of Cam's playbook.
Sort of. It's my approach to it. It's what I've called the common sense money line parlay.
Okay, well, you're 5-14 for the year. That is your best year ever, and your lifetime record is now 25 and 135. So if you want to get better than 110 games under 500, you got to get it this week.
Fair enough.
Let's go to Saturday early. Pittsburgh at Baltimore. The Ravens are 3.5-point dogs at home because the MVP is not going to be playing in this game, or at least we assume he's not going to be. There's no reason for him to be playing in this game after the Ravens lead the smackdown on the Miami Dolphins last week, clinching the 1 seed, clinching the AFC, and probably clinching Lamar, the MVP, all along at the same time. Mason Rudolph will be starting for the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are building some mo here towards the end of the season, Geoff. Oh, and I mean, this is the season finale of the regular season of this show, but we go every week through the Super Bowl. The season finale of the Sunday live show returns after a 2-week absence. We're doing the Week 18 live show in studio. Jeff Garion will be our co-host.
It promises to be a wild one because there's like 8 5 o'clock games. They all start at 5:25. So we are almost certain to have playoff implications live being decided on the show.
Probably not, to tell you the truth. Like the only one to really look at it that we probably won't know is Green Bay.
Well, that's one of them.
Like the other ones have implications, but they're most likely like they're either giant spreads or like if you take a look at like, Philly and Dallas, like we should have a pretty good idea of who's going to have the 2 seed and who's going to have the 5 seed between them by the time we go on air.
True. Seattle obviously as well.
Yeah, but Seattle needs other things to happen, and they need to win.
Just needs Green Bay to lose.
Yeah.
Just need Green Bay to lose.
So
they've been playing concurrently.
It all kind of hinges on Green Bay.
Yeah, Green Bay, Dallas, and then all that seeding stuff. So
I might want to stop by Sunday if Santa wants to arrive for Tim.
Oh yeah. I'll keep a lookout on that. I'll let you know because there might be something coming for Tim. Tim gets gifts, just big gifts.
The people love you, Tim. The people think about you.
Thank you, people. And by the way, I have a golf winner this week. I wasn't asked. I love Brian Harmon to win this week. I'm going to start with that.
Okay.
We got a golf show out. Do you have any golf thoughts for the season or just Brian Harmon?
Not for the season. I love this tournament this week. I love this course. This is the Masters in January. It's a great start to the season. I love this place. And I like Brian Harmon. And I like anyone who's good at Augusta. I like at this tournament. If you're not good at
Brian Harmon's
would be my second pick.
Brian Harmon's not good at Augusta.
I know, but he reminds me of Zach Johnson. Zach Johnson is good at the Masters and won this tournament. So he and Jordan Spieth would be the people I love this week. Not going to lie.
Do you like Pittsburgh this week?
Yes, Pittsburgh is the first part of my common sense money line parlay. I am taking the teams that absolutely should win this week, as long as you're not like a minus 800 like Dallas. And I'm just going to put them all together. We're going to get a 5-teamer rolling. And it starts with the Steelers on Saturday afternoon. Baltimore has 0 to play for. Pittsburgh is lucky, even though they don't deserve to be here. Any team that loses to the Patriots and Cardinals in back-to-back weeks has no right to be in the playoffs. But I digress. They're going to be there. And when they play Miami in the 2-7 game, I'm not going to enjoy it.
So you are picking Miami to beat the Bills then this week?
Yeah, I think that line is bananas, and we'll talk about that when we get there.
That's the very last game if you want to jump to the time codes with all of those.
That's good SEO for people.
Sure. I'm taking Baltimore here. When I take a look at the game, I know that the key starters are going to be resting for Baltimore, Geoff, but the best quarterback in this game still resides on Baltimore.
No.
Huntley's better than Mason Rudolph. Huntley made the Pro Bowl last year.
I am just, it feels like a Pittsburgh or nothing. And maybe it's a trap. And, Pittsburgh could lay an egg. They've embarrassed themselves a lot this year. They've shat on themselves a few times, as mentioned. But if I'm going to bet this game, it does feel like it's Pittsburgh or nothing.
This has got to be Cam's favorite week of the season because you just so many backup QBs play in week 18.
Yeah, but no,
it must be Christmas. You say how week 1's your favorite week of the season. Week 18 has to be his favorite week of the season.
No, because it's like the sense of urgency isn't there, and Cam doesn't. That's not something people like to bet into. Okay. Even though we're not saying anyone is tanking, it's just sloppy. Pittsburgh.
All right, so Baltimore for the coin in myself, Pittsburgh for Geoff and Tim. It would be, I feel like Pittsburgh ended the Bills year once when they played all of their backups. Green Bay
Malarkey years.
Yeah, Green Bay also did the same thing to the Bills once. The Bills are bad against backups.
Years ago.
Yeah,
the Bills are horrible in the have to win versus a loser team, but at least they're in
well, then that's why they're going to lose this week then.
No, but that's not a loser team.
Yeah, that's what you say.
Oh, yeah. God. Okay, whatever. We'll get there in an hour. We'll get there in 2 hours.
Seems like you guys forgot the time that Andy Dalton won a meaningless game and got the Bills into the playoffs.
Into the playoffs, yes.
Yeah.
I remember
it certainly can happen. Teams can absolutely Arizona knocked out who was it? Minnesota from the playoffs when they were
A
last
Chiefs
year in
team
Tempe.
playing for nothing with Chase Daniel beat the Chargers in Week 18, as you know, because we're losers once. To cost us
Just like
Jets
playing Gabbard's going to do this week.
I hope, but I actually, well, I don't want to SEO my game, but sadly,
Ryan Fitzpatrick threw 6 interceptions with the Jets having a chance to make the playoffs in Week 17 against a Bills team that had nothing to play for and didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah, so I'm
Things happen all the time.
My point is that just because Pittsburgh should win this game doesn't mean they're necessarily going to win this game. And circumstantially, a team playing its backups, Baltimore is probably one of the better teams of backups.
Okay, that's totally true. I would just say I'm not one of these people where like, I have a model and it says, I need to bet into that game because I have a half point of value. I can't bet on Baltimore. So if I'm actually betting the game, like on the circumstances, I can't bet on that circumstance. I'd pass or I'd bet on Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Okay.
Next game, Saturday evening, Houston at Indy. This game keeps flip-flopping on the spread. The Texans are now actually favored by a point. They opened as a 1-point underdog. It went to a pick'em. It went back the other way, then back to a pick'em, and now it's going to the Colts. Oh, you have a strong take here, Jeffrey.
Well, also, like, I don't want to get accused of like piggybacking off or like flip-flopping on your games because I'm chasing you. This could be a super lock for me, so I'll get it out of the way. I trust Stroud. I trust the Texans bigly. This could be my favorite bet of the week. So that's the easy side for me.
I like Houston as well in this game. I've been underrating the Colts. Every time I bet the Colts, make them a strong play, they just let me down so much. So they'll probably end up winning this game because of it. But how the Colts, especially like at this point of the season, I don't know whether or not Zach Moss is going to come back or not, but the blueprint to beat Houston has been the same all year long, or at least move the ball on Houston. You have to make mid-range throws. You have to make deep throws. If you try to run the ball against them, it is not going to work. And it seems like the Colts just want to run the ball over and over and over again at this point of the year. I don't quite understand it. And they've been losing guys on defense every single week, and they had the game in hand against the Raiders, so I don't think they wanted to show too much offensively, or at least even try all that hard. The Raiders backdoored that spread, and they almost got back into it. But I don't know. It just didn't seem like the Raiders' full heart was in it last week, or at least their performance didn't show that. But every time that they did move the ball, Tim, like when we'd look up, it's like, hey, there's Devontae Adams down the field for 35 yards. I just don't think that. I think that the Texans can still do that with their personnel and Stroud. I don't think that Minshew can do that against the Texans.
I really like Indianapolis here, getting a point at home when they're the better team.
Why would you say they're the better team?
Because I think they are a superior team. If Houston had its players healthy, if they actually had their playmakers, you can make me the strong case for the Texans, but they don't.
So you think
I don't
like
think
Tank
Houston
Dell
can score enough in this game.
Tank Dell means that much to the Texans?
Not just Tank Dell, but the receivers are banged up and beyond him. And Stroud is still coming off of a 2-week concussion. In Indianapolis, I just don't think you can trust the rookie in this spot. I think it's a dangerous spot to trust the rookie. I think the common sense is to go. I think it's just smart to go with the Colts here. And I'm going to. I expect the Colts to win the game. I think they're slightly better. I think they should be laying 1.5 or 2, and they're getting now a point. I think the Colts are the play here. It's got to be the sharp side.
It's got to be?
I think so. I just can't see the Texans being the sharp side in this game.
Okay. Jets.
It's like a Minshew turnover game.
Yeah.
Could be. But it also could be Stroud, just like, this is a tough spot. This is a de facto playoff game because the winner is 100% in. And I'm going to trust the Colts in this spot.
Life on the line. You trust Minshew over Stroud?
I'm going to trust the Colts team over the Texans team.
Okay. Let's go to Sunday. Your Super Bowl, Tim.
Yes, and not just mine. A lot of people's who are Jets fans, Super Bowl.
Jets at Patriots. Patriots by 2. Obviously, the Patriots beat the Jets every single time that they play. The over-under in this game is 30.5. That's essentially Hall of Fame game level for the preseason. I'll take the Patriots -2. I think they beat the Jets.
They could. The Patriots have actually been playing good football for 2 months. They aren't winning a ton of those games, but they're in just about every game pretty much since their loss on October 29th. Like they're competitive.
To the Dolphins, you mean?
But I need this game. They lost to the Dolphins, I believe, on October 29th. And ever since, they've been in every single game. And, if they had competent quarterbacking and competent coaching, they probably could have won some of those games. But they have neither. Take the Jets in this game.
Why?
I mean, it's a meaningless game in terms of both teams' futures. I just think the Jets are probably a little bit more ginned up for it than the Patriots. I don't know. There's not. You asked me to cap this game. It's hard. I don't know who exactly is going to. It's going to come down to the Patriots special teams. It couldn't be much worse. I don't know. I don't have a strong feeling other than the Jets are getting 4 days more rest, so they're a little more rested. They've had a little bit more time to prepare for this game. Don't look at this game too hard. Don't squint at it too hard. I don't even think it needs to make our TVs on Sunday if there's no room for it.
It might be a main. There's most definitely. You said there's only 6 early games.
Oh yeah, that's right. If there's only 6, fair enough. Then it would. But if we were
thinking
7
about
or 8
it
games,
for a month and you don't want it on TV,
He doesn't want to be heartbroken. He doesn't want to be heartbroken.
I just want it over.
He doesn't want to have
No, I
to
don't
watch
wanna be
this
heartbroken.
and watch Trevor Siemian throw 8 picks in this game, and then Zappy
Not
might
really,
throw 8.
no.
But then Zappy will throw 8 picks, but somehow the Patriots will still be in the game, just like last week.
Correct. Well, it's because the team the Patriots were playing is at their level. But anyway, I don't know. I'm not enthused about the game. I think it could go either way. I really, really want this win. I think the extra rest helps a little bit. I think the Patriots' horrific special teams helps the Jets a little bit. I think the Jets' skill position players are slightly better. I think if the Jets were a little bit more competent last Thursday, the Browns were giving that game away the entire second half. The Jets just couldn't do anything with it and all the opportunities. I don't know. Given the scores of recent games, I do expect this game to go over that number. And let's say the Jets win 20-17.
20-17. So you like the over and you like the Jets money line. What a parlay. That should have been your free money.
No, you don't need to do that. Don't get involved in these games. You don't need to.
See, I actually really like New England here, Geoff.
Yeah, me too. Could be a super lock. It's Belichick's last game. They're not losing it.
It's not his
They're
last
not
game.
losing
It's
it to
not
the
his
Jets.
last game.
With the Patriots?
Yeah. He'll be
Okay,
back.
maybe not. But
It could be if they win. I think it
he's
won't
not
be if you
losing
lose.
this game, and he's looking at that Commander's second overall pick. He's not letting the Patriots drop this one. Patriots easy, could be a super lock. They are not losing this game.
Jeff just loves the Week 18 board, apparently.
Yeah, it's all over it. I mean, the two
Every game is super lock potential out of the first 3 games.
I said 2. I like 2 of the games.
many bettors like to say that weeks 1, 2, and the final week of the NFL season are the 3 best times to bet on football.
I don't know. Week 1 and 2, I understand. Week 18 seems like Jenga. I think you're probably better off just avoiding them.
No, because
Yeah.
so much of the public ends up becoming wildly misinformed about what's actually going to happen in these games. They take the common sense approach, like, well, how could this team needs to play for something? That team doesn't. So obviously, the team that plays for something is definitely going to cover and win, and that just it happens like a 50% rate, Paul.
Yeah, but in this game, there's 2 teams that have nothing to play for, and God knows how long anybody important will play. I just
What
don't
do you
see
mean
how
anyone
you can
important?
properly...
There's no one important on either of these teams.
Well, for example,
everyone
let's
who
say,
you think is
for
going
example,
to. So okay,
Garrett Wilson, is he going to go the whole game? Why would he go the whole game? What's the point of going the whole game?
so the Patriots don't have anyone to sit.
You're right. Although there may be guys on defense. My point is in these pointless games, and I'm right about this, is that you are betting blind into a cloud. You have no idea how either of these 2 teams any 2 teams in a completely meaningless game will act. You're just better off avoiding that whole horn of stuff because you're never going to be able to cap it correctly because there are too many moving pieces.
So Paul, you can either trust Cust or people who bet on the NFL professionally. Which one do you want to trust?
2 quick comments. 1, why did Garrett Wilson play all of last week when last week was a meaningless game? And then 2, like Pittsburgh taking on Huntley. Well, Huntley has a lot to play for, right? He doesn't want to be a backup quarterback his whole life. If he goes out there, has a good situation, maybe somebody signs him in the offseason. Like,
Come on.
A
There's
lot of
enough
these guys
tape on
play for
Huntley.
jobs. I think you underestimate that.
And Huntley's not even playing to be a starter. He's literally playing to extend his
career
to get like 8 more years of being a backup by having like 1.5 good games.
Based on complete speculation on your part. You can't back that up with anything other than this is what I think.
I don't think people are quitting.
I just asked you. I just asked you about Indianapolis and why they're better. Like, I think that they're better. That was your only reasoning.
I do think. I'm not here to say that I've got some sort of expert analysis. I think that some of these games are not capable in the sense that you can't actually know what in heaven's name is going to happen in them.
That's every week. That's what you're describing is every week in the NFL. What are you talking about?
There are exigent. No, there's exigent circumstances, and this is again just plain common sense.
Well, that's a sense of urgency.
When it's a week 18 game, when it's a week 18 meaningless game for both teams, and both teams' seasons are over when the game is over. You have no earthly idea how either team is going to approach that game, really. So if you think you have a leg up on people, yeah, well, it's kind of like a bowl game, except even worse.
No, it's not, because here's the difference between it. A, these are professional players. People are trying to continue their career. And if you're on the field, you will be playing at 100%. Could an offensive game plan change? Maybe. But most of these games, the only like bad situation I could see where guys actually get pulled throughout the course of the game would be Philly. Because they know if Dallas jumps up to a 24-0 lead, well, then they actually have no chance. They can't play. They're better off not playing Hurts. They're better off not playing A.J. Brown. So maybe you can factor that in. I don't see anything in this game. It's like, oh, let's start Garrett Wilson. You can play 2 quarters, then you're not playing. Like, what are you talking about?
Week 17, Arizona rolls into Philly with nothing to play for this
I don't know
season.
why you're all attacking me when I'm right about this.
You're not right about this.
That's
why you're getting attacked from all sides.
We're trying to give you examples of how it doesn't work.
Well, in the last week of the year, you cannot predict. It is you have to have enough humility to understand that it is unpredictable what is going to happen in a game between two completely meaningless teams.
And in
it
week
is
17,
unpredictable. You can't crack it. There is no way to crack it. It just happens. So instead of trying to pretend like you can come up with a unified theory of how these games are going to go, just accept that these is a really weird, exigent circumstance that you can't predict and that you got to be humble about.
Jeff, why do you think it is that Sharps tend to actually have really good week 18s and Tim apparently doesn't?
Well, again,
I didn't ask. Is your name Jeff? Is your name Jeff?
Well,
I asked Jeff.
You're misrepresenting.
I asked Jeff.
Misrepresenting what I said.
Question.
Well,
Jeff, can you answer the question, please?
Misrepresented what I said. I didn't talk about week 18, so don't misrepresent me.
So there's a lot of
information. I talked about a specific context in certain games in a week 18 setting, not week 18 in general. Specific context
so I'm gonna
of
talk
certain
now.
games.
I'm going to talk now.
Okay, just don't misrepresent.
I gave you the floor.
What I said.
You were given the floor to give your argument that probably isn't respected by anyone who understands math in football.
What does that mean? If that's
Tim,
what you're
stop
say,
cutting people off.
Yeah, you got to stop. You really need to stop cutting people off. Well, you get to talk for 8 straight minutes. Let Jeff talk.
If this is what it's going to be, I'm kind of not interested.
Movement this week, just like any other week. There's a lot of closing line value that professionals or anyone who bets football puts a lot of value on. Will it come through? You know, who knows? I mean, there was crazy stuff that happened in the college bowl games where like a touchdown worth of CLV was like still losing games outright. The variance is incredibly high in week 18. That I think the professionals or the sharps totally acknowledge. That maybe there's even a tendency to play some alt lines on both sides because things can maybe get out of hand in some games, even where it's 2 teams that don't matter. If someone shows up with a sense of urgency, it is there. But I don't know, the sharps can make money because it seems like there's a lot of line movement and there's a lot of information available, and they are able to take advantage of both those things, even if there's a team isn't playing for anything. So I would say the information and the line movement that consistently happens this week is why they're able to make it profitable.
And to your point, Tim, not every game would be affected by this. I'm sorry for misrepresenting you in that way. I just don't understand how you think that this game in particular is one of those games.
This game and the Raiders-Broncos game, I think, are completely ununderstandable.
They're just going to play their guys.
Maybe if it's like 14, if it's 21-0 and it's the second and going to the second half, Devonta Adams playing a snap in the second half? No, probably not.
But then the bet was over anyway. You capped it right if you were on the other
coach.
side.
You're talking about a coach who came out at halftime up 50-0 and said, we're still going to lay it on
You're
3
right, but
days rest.
But week 18 is a different beast. That's all. Just they're totally
3 days
different
rest,
beasts.
up 50-0 at halftime.
I mean, do you have,
also a different beast?
Do you
it's
have
just smarter for the average person who's listening to this show and is actually listening to the show for some advice.
Oh my God.
How about just stop? You people are not going to be able to unravel the Rubik's Cube.
You know what? Here's the advice, you dolt. Here's the advice. Everything you think you know as football fans is already baked into the line. You know, as Pizzola's kind of been stressing. All that incentive-based stuff, all of the implications of who's trying and who isn't, it's totally baked into the line already. So you're right. You shouldn't bet it thinking you have this total upper hand, but you could totally, like, I don't know, people like betting football games. They like watching football games and seeing teams make a quest for first down and start all over again. Like, I don't know what you're saying.
Yeah, so like in your example of this game, let's say Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall, you know, it's not going very, like, you can't bet on the Jets because Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson might sit out. In your example, they were already down by like 21 points. So the bet, you picked the right side anyway.
No, but you could be down 10 with 2 minutes left to go in the game, for example. They're not going to come out for the last drive. So your chance to beat the spread to get a backdoor cover, that's all gone.
Well,
but that wouldn't be the case in week 12. Or week
so
13.
then, Tim, would you not agree maybe you should be doing what I said and taking games like this potential situation and betting alternate lines?
I would recommend I'll pick games that actually have genuine consequences and avoid those other ones.
I mean, there's probably a lot of people who are also just being like, I'm only betting the games that matter because I know
that's my advice.
Whereas I would wager that the actual value is on the games. Yeah, the opportunity on the other games is where the real value lies this week.
And the sharps and professionals would say, look at the line movement. Like, that'll show you. The Chargers went from a 1 to a 3. Like, it doesn't matter if it's week 18. A guy who bets football every week is like, I got 2 points as CLV. I don't give a shit if it's week 18. Now, the variance is larger, but I don't know. It matters no different, I think. It's no different than us in golf, Pat, where that's an unfair example. It matters to guys who are playing the shittiest event.
It could be, but it's no different than you take a look, just from a golf context, you take a look at a guy and you say he's a short hitter, he has bad irons. This course, Torrey Pines does not set up well for him at all. In fact, you can almost directly point to Patrick Reed when he won at Torrey Pines. And what did he do? He made every putt from 25 feet and in, and he won the tournament. It did not set up for him, but you were able to cash because he's a good player. You know what his baseline skill set is. You needed him to have a pretty good week doing one thing in particular, and he was able to accomplish that, and other players around him didn't play as well. Nothing pointed to him that week. Winning based on any sort of skill set, he would have been a very unpopular pick. He was an unpopular pick. He was an unpopular bet, but that doesn't mean he can't win.
I would just say to Tim's point, like the point that Tim might be trying to make that I don't know if he's smart enough to make is if you think you have a perceived edge on a game because
you don't.
Like it's baked in. It's already baked in. Whether it's like who's playing or team incentive or winning in or meaningless. It's all baked into these numbers.
Yeah, like I think a good example of that is the discrepancy between the spread in the Cowboys game and the Eagles game, Tim, where the Cowboys are baked in as 13-point favorites because they need to win the game to make sure that they have the number 2 seed. Mm-hmm. The Eagles are going to play their starters and try to win the game until the point where Dallas is winning by so much that they don't need to win anymore, but that's baked in. They're only 5.5-point favorites against the crappy Giants.
Yeah, I mean, that's true because they should be, 7.5-point favorites?
Or more.
No, I don't know. The Eagles are pretty bad. 7.5-point favorites probably, or 8. So yeah, so there is some that. Look, I don't think there is, unless you're really, really savvy with your model. I think there's next to no edge at all betting in the NFL. And there's certainly, I think, even less edge this week.
I just find it funny
That's my opinion.
I just find it funny that you're such a Jets homer that you think they're sitting their stars. Either they're going to be announced out before the game. Yeah, you would. You're not the coach.
No, well, you're right. I'm not. But I'm saying that I wouldn't play them in the fourth quarter if the game. I just probably wouldn't play them. I'd treat it like the last week of the preseason.
Can you point
play
to
him for a while.
Can you point to an example where that's actually happened in the NFL?
I don't know. I'd have to look it up. Off the top of my head, I can't think one way or the other about it. Like,
Geoff,
I don't know.
Jeff, can you remember a circumstance where that was the case?
My memory
two
is
teams
every year we're reminded on week 18 that nobody is quitting.
Oh, no one quits. No. I'm not saying the players aren't playing hard. I'm saying, like, will certain teams make decisions about not playing certain guys in certain spots? Or if somebody gets a hangnail in the second quarter, he does. There's no question in any circumstance. He never takes another snap in the game.
Listen, if
for 17 weeks, he comes back.
There probably is a bit more of the injury type of thing that you're talking about. That if something is, do you want to gut it out here? Then no. But guys, if they're dressed for the game and they're normally playing, they're going to play, or they're just not going to play them, and that we'll know before the game starts.
But I think Tim's whole thing is more like all of these teams and all these players in these meaningless games, they're essentially like kids in elementary school and high school, like the last day before Christmas break. Like they're just out. Like
but I would.
That's I think what Tim is saying. Why would you want to bet on that? But I don't believe that.
I don't believe that at all either.
In a game between I don't either. In a game between a team that has something to play for, team that has nothing to play for. I don't think that you just said automatically take the team that has everything to play for. By no means.
Okay, well, how about this? How about this?
Meaningless game.
You say that, but I mean, didn't Detroit kind of disprove that entire theory last year against the Packers? And the Bears are going to do the same thing. Like the Bears aren't sitting anyone against the Packers. They have nothing to play for.
No, and I think that the Bears have something to play for. Like they actually do have something to play for. And I think that they can't win this, get into the playoffs. Not quite the same. When you can play spoiler to your biggest rival or one of your biggest rivals, as Detroit did last year or Chicago can this year, that's something to play for. When it's a 4-12 and a 5-10 team or 6-10 team coming to meet each other in a meaningless cold game in January, I'm sorry to tell you, I don't think there is nearly the type of edge you think you can usually find on a game like that than you can on a real normal NFL game.
Okay.
That's common sense, I think.
Okay, Tim. Tampa at Carolina. Tampa is in a win and they're in situation. They are 5-point favorites on the road in Carolina after a pretty disastrous week 17 for the Bucs, where Baker didn't play well until 2 minutes left in the game. They scored like 15 points. But Jeff, this actually gives me, I didn't realize that this was going to be the case, that how everything broke down, that it's still a win and in situation for Tampa right now. That if I talked about not wanting to hedge my Tampa Bay to win the division bet, but I'm actually giving, if you do have that 10-1 out there and you do have a lot of money on it, you can just bet Panthers money line now at almost 2-1.
Panthers money line. This one also feels like a Fienberg pat. Tampa wins, Panthers cover. It's going to be an ugly game. I like a lot. There are a lot of home teams getting this very awkward 5. What's the official? What are we playing with here? 5.5? 5. A lot of weird 5s for home teams this week. We've always joked how like 5 is like this no man's land of line makers, and I'm probably going to take all of them. And it's going to start here. Panthers +5. I think Baker and the Bucs are going to win it out, but it's going to be a weird close game. Credit to the Bucs. I was wrong about a lot of teams in 23. The Bucs would probably be powering near the top in terms of most wrong. Pie on my face. And do you see the Panthers owner threw a cup at a fan on the weekend at the game?
I did. Because I mentioned to Tim on New Year's that if I was the owner of a team, it's exactly what I'd be doing. Just throwing drinks on people. Fuck you, we're losing. That's why I would win Worst Person Award, but not Most Insane. Mingo just placed on season-ending injured reserve as we are talking about this game. Just popped up on Twitter.
Also really like embarrassing how what Carolina did last week. That spread went from 7 to 3.5. Another CLV graveyard, but for all the gains that it seemed like we were talking up Bryce. Like we were so happy to see Bryce throwing with anticipation, just hitting guys, in windows for like one game. And maybe we got a little too excited last week.
It's true. If anyone listened to the Best Bet show, me and Pizzola got into a pretty big argument about it because I was Team Jacksonville and he was Team Carolina was his gold pick. I was like, I think you might be overrating Carolina here about how good they might be. Just the Jags D was good.
Because the Packers couldn't stop anybody in like those passing situations for a month and a half.
But the Packers have a terrible defense.
Yeah, I know.
The
but
Jags
we were also
don't.
so happy to see Bryce like hit a guy in a window moving. And yeah, you're right. We're like, okay, he's not like he's fixed or fine or he's great. It was just like, well, clearly this is going to progress through the like last 3 weeks of the year, 2 weeks. And it did not. It couldn't have gone worse. Like it was so embarrassingly bad.
Oh, apparently Mingo finishes the season with the lowest DYAR, according to Aaron Schatz, of any wide receiver rookie. I don't know what that means.
You mean Quentin Johnson beat somebody?
Yeah,
After reception?
D yards? What's D yards after reception?
I don't know.
Yeah. Too many advanced stats. But yeah, apparently worse than Quentin Johnson. I'm going to take Tampa. I think Tampa smashes them.
Probably.
Yeah.
Carolina does seem like a dead fish. Credit to me though, in our wins pool that I could actually overcome that Carolina pick.
Yeah,
I have them in another wins pool, and I certainly could not overcome them in that one.
Tim and I talked about that again on New Year's. Tim, what happened to Geoff was actually the pick of the draft.
Yeah, by Geoff forgetting the Cincinnati Bengals were in the NFL, he managed to win himself the pool. And I think that's kudos. It doesn't matter how. It matters that you did.
But I was very bullish in Baltimore in like all of our preseason content before that draft. But you are right. That was kind of a mistake. And I was just excited to pick a team that I was really, really high on. Although I don't really seem like I find futures in my account, despite all the positive words I said about them all summer.
Taking Tampa too. I don't want Tampa to win. I want Tampa to lose because I still would love to see the Falcons make the playoffs, which they would with a Tampa loss and an Atlanta win.
So I saw the Falcons are either the 4 seed or picking 8th or 9th overall.
Yep.
What an what an indictment on the on the structure that allows that to be possible, but it's
but I mean, like Buffalo was either a 2 seed or out of the playoffs. More than
it is what it is.
Like it's one of those weird things. Like
well, hold on. That circumstance of being the 2 seed or out of the playoffs, while unique, makes a lot of sense. Being the 4 seed or picking 6th overall or something is way different.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully, there's lots of good receivers for the Falcons to take 6th overall. So I'm hoping that anyway. Tampa's on my money line parlay as well. I don't like it. I don't want it to happen, but I think it's going to. Baker got his bad. It's probably good for Carolina. Perhaps if Baker got his bad game out of the way last week, and they still have every chance to recover, because that Baker was not the Baker we saw most of this year. But whatever, it is what it is. They're back. He looked, he looked awful. But Carolina, I too was reeled in by their performance against the Packers. But anyway. We'll take Tampa here.
Jags and Tennessee. This game will be influenced, at least who's going to win the AFC South, by what happens on Saturday evening between the Texans and Colts. But if the Jags win, they are the division champion, so they got to win. They're 5-point favorites on the road against Tennessee. It looks like Trevy's going to be back for the game. Zay Jones may play in this game. Christian Kirk's out for this game. I don't know if he can come back for the playoffs or not. And no idea who's playing for Tennessee. I'm guessing it's Ryan Tannehill, Geoff, because Levis got carted off. He walked off the field, and then he got carted off after getting blindsided in the Houston game.
Yeah, my expectation would be Tannehill. Did Tim put Tampa on his parlay?
Yes.
Yeah, I did. They're part 2 of the common sense parlay.
I'm not hedging, by the way. I'm going to let the Tampa Bay bet ride. But this is a much better spot because some people talked about it last week with New Orleans, and I just wasn't going to do it for half the money. But at 2-1 with Carolina, and maybe it even grows by the time you get to the weekend, then I could see if people wanted to insure themselves money on that bet. I'm just not one of those people.
You
Can
could
this
even
game
middle it
be
because the
meaningless
Falcons
for
and Saints could
Jacksonville?
tie.
I could middle it, but then I'd rather lock in the money. Like to play for the middle, I'd rather just let it ride at that point.
I think, Geoff, if the Steelers should lose on Thursday, that would throw them out. And Saturday afternoon. And a Bills loss. No, I think Jacksonville has got to win this game because they won't know what Buffalo will have done. A Buffalo loss would keep them in the playoffs. A Buffalo win would throw them out because Miami would be back into the wild card. And the Colts and Steelers would be so they need to steal. If the Steelers should lose on Saturday, their chances of making the playoffs are very, very strong. So it won't be. So they won't know for sure. Plus, they've got to win the game for the division. So it's one of those things. They got to. If they lose, that it makes it anyway. It is what it is.
I like Tennessee in this game.
I do too. This is not a team on my common sense parlay. I was not fooled by Jacksonville's performance against the worst team last week.
I think that's the part that everyone who's really pro Joe, well, they really need to win. It's like, no shit, they really need to win.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
the Titans are still like okay. They're not good by any stretch of the imagination, but like even why the same reason that I think all of us took Houston last week. I don't know if you did, Tim, but I know that Geoff and I ended up taking Houston.
I don't think I did.
But yeah, I think we may have all been on the Texans bandwagon last week, and that spread grew. And the reason that spread grew is based on how similar these teams play defense. Excellent run defenses, no one in the secondary. When you start thinking about it, it's like, well, Stroud can take advantage of that. I don't think that any quarterback on the Titans can take advantage of that. Well, can a gimped up Lawrence take advantage of it? Probably better than Beathard, but I still don't have the highest hopes for what Lawrence is capable of doing right now with his myriad of injuries. So I just think it's going to be a close game. A lot of running. Feels like a field goal game to me.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm sort of putting my flag in the ground with these 5-point spreads. Home teams, week 18. Tennessee falls into that side of it. So I think Jags. I think we're going to see a lot of like Fienberg games this week in those 5-point spread games, and I think ATS, those home dogs, will do just fine. Titans +5.
So now we get to a game that is very tricky and will really depend on the injury report because I don't think that Browns-Bengals stays at 6 because we don't know exactly who is going to be playing for the Browns as of yet. It seems like PJ Walker is starting, and I don't really care about that. It's more who on the defensive side of the ball is going to go for, like, is Myles Garrett playing? Probably not. How many of their starters are going to actually suit up for this game? Because if some of them do, or at least they can have a passable defense, I actually kind of like the Browns in this spot, Tim.
I understand that, but I have to imagine a team as ravaged with important injuries as Cleveland, getting what is a de facto bye week before a playoff matchup, won't play anybody of consequence. Will call up all their practice squad guys as much as possible. And for that reason, I will take Cincinnati, a team who should have beaten Kansas City last. I watched a lot of that game. You should have crushed Kansas City last week. I don't quite understand how they lost that game in some ways. I guess I do. The Chiefs.
I don't understand how you got that determination from that football game. One team.
They were all over Kansas City. They were all over Kansas City in that game. It wasn't until the last.
Kansas City was all over
them. Really, at the end, the last drive of the game, the Kansas City defense played like all.
Kansas City settled for field goals all game. The Bengals didn't do much at all. They got some of their points off a short field on a Mahomes fumble. I disagree. The Chiefs even continued to drop balls. I thought the close.
That's who the Chiefs are. I thought the Bengals outplayed them.
For most of that game, I don't think it was a lot closer in the score than it felt like to me, to be honest. So we saw that game totally different.
I guess so. I came away thinking, geez, the Chiefs won another game they had no right to win.
They should have beaten them more comfortably.
Okay. Well, I didn't see it that way. I like the Bengals here because I just have to assume the Browns won't play anybody. It would be mismanagement to play anybody of consequence. And congratulations to Stefanski, who wrapped up Coach of the Year last week. Geoff must be very happy that.
What happened to Campbell?
Jeff, I was just going to say, Jeff must be really happy that Dan Campbell is not the coach of the year. He can, for the second year in a row, gloat over the fact
Dan
that
Campbell's
Dan
a
Campbell
great
didn't win
coach.
the award.
He's almost the perfect
Yeah.
coach
Enjoy
because
it.
he's
Soak it in.
morphed this like bravado and ex-player with a lot of the aggressiveness that I love and I would want to see. But I mean, I'm only happy Dan Campbell's not going to win for mine and your discourse. I don't care about it in any other aspect, to be perfectly honest.
I'm actually pretty pumped because I know a lot of people. I don't have it. I wish I did. And I think we even talked about it on the show when it dropped from 25 to 20 to 15. That Stefanski's really building up a resume here. I just didn't believe that they would keep it going with
And
Flacco.
it was the schedule.
Very well earned.
Like it was winnable game after winnable game versus backup quarterback versus loser team. I mean, to take nothing away as someone who's sitting on the hundo to one Flacco comeback, I made that like, okay, like maybe they can run the table because the schedule they play dead fish along the way here. This game in and of itself, for all the argument that Tim made that this week is like, why do you even touch anything? This is the game to me that I actually feel like Tim. It's like the Browns getting rest versus Jake Browning like needing a touchdown to cover. Like total, I don't even want to touch it.
Well, you got to
I'll
make a
take
pick.
the Bengals, but I don't have a clue, and I don't want to touch it.
All right, I'm going to take the
He's gonna be
Browns.
the second coach of the year. He'll be the second coach of the year in 3 years or 4 years. That's really impressive.
It's a real Ron Rivera type move.
Maybe, but like to do it with the same team, he takes the Browns to the playoffs in both those years. Pretty impressive.
This is not good for your 100-1 Flacco comeback player of the year future, though, Jeff. If Stefanski,
Yeah, you're right. It is what it is.
If
That is-
Stefanski wins this award, well, now they have given the Browns something. And
that's always part of it. That's always part of it. Again, when you see sort of what was going on the internet last week, if Tim's allowed to take a hypothetical Super Bowl championship in week 1, I think it would be grossly hypocritical for me not to sort of the landscape, the discourse, and consider myself maybe the founding father. I don't know. I told Rob Pizzola he should be thankful. He should appreciate that his outlet, the Hammer, probably dropped the first ever actual piece of content that was willing to step in front of a dead man. If he doesn't, he can choose to not take that honor, but hey, whatever. You live, you start as the villain, you become the hero. It was a great, it was just even, how do I put this? No, I don't want to say. We'll save it. We'll save it for the night. But I don't know how anyway this can become an L. Like even if Hamlin takes the award, how did this become an L? In any way.
Listen, Hamlin still might not win, so you could have the outright victory. But remember that some of Tim's strongest cases for most insane person is for doing victory laps on hypothetical wins. Remember that.
Yes, but I just mean it's not a hypothetical win. Because all I acknowledged was the line was stupid. It would come down. We could be near Pick'ems at award night. Why? Because someone who has name value in the NFL fan psyche was going to contribute in a meaningful way. Like it just wrote it. Like it wrote it. And that's all. So we're here. We'll save it for another. Flacco doesn't even need to throw another pass. If Baker wants to win and go bonanza, it would all be worthy. They could do some credit to I want to not take anything away from the incredible training staff on that field that night in Cincinnati, though. They are the heroes. They deserve all the credit in the world. And credit to DeMar. He's already retired on an ambulance. We do not need to spend another Super Bowl honoring him.
Do you have a draft in your X for the awards night there, Jeff?
No, I don't. I don't have a draft.
Did you know? I mean, I don't know if you caught this on the X machine or not, but you know how Tim gave the Jets the theoretical Super Bowl when Aaron Rodgers went down in week 1. He also gave them a Super Bowl this weekend by saying that if Mike White was their quarterback, they would be definitely winning the Super Bowl right now.
To be in the playoffs, I'll tell you that.
it's been a tough year, and I still don't appreciate Tim coming at me for how I fan, but that's a different thing.
I think it looks ugly when fans cheer against their teams. I'm sorry. I just do.
I'm not like
don't like
cheering
it.
against like hardcore, but it's like I have
I
a
don't
preferred.
like. If you want your team not to win, I think you owe it to the team to just say nothing. You don't go out there and actively hope they lose games. I'm sorry.
Like, what did I actively do?
You did. You wanted them to lose on that Saturday evening game so badly. You were so much advocating a Buffalo Bills win.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and what happened last week? Last week was maybe my biggest.
I'm sorry. I don't.
And last week was maybe.
I don't like it.
Hold on. Last week was maybe my biggest bet of the NFL season, and I put it on Twitter. I smashed the shit out of that thing on $2.
A bet is fine. I'm just saying.
So if I don't like
the
game,
when
what do you
fans
want
cheer
from
against
me
their team
last week?
I don't like when fans. I don't like when fans cheer against their teams. I'm sorry. I'm old fashioned like that. I don't like it. Sorry.
You're a bad fan. Tim's a good fan. That's what you need to understand.
I didn't
Geoff.
say he was a bad fan. I'm not, and I'm not judging. I'm just because I don't like it.
It really sounds that entire thing sounds like you're judging Geoff.
Nobody made me the king of fandom at all. I'm just saying my opinion, which is that I always cheer for my team to succeed and win. That's me. I'm old-fashioned like that. I never want my team not to win.
As I said before, my love is unconditional, but my support, like that is circumstantial.
Yeah,
because I always just want what's best long term.
Listen, the Chargers are Jeff's drug addict son. He can't just keep giving him money to buy drugs. He has to cut him off at some point, Tim.
I will give Aaron whatever he wants, whenever he wants it.
That's bad parenting.
I will enable that behavior as long as I need to. I know I'm not even interested in not enabling.
Yeah, listen, Aaron, you know what he's all about this week. You see?
Yeah.
The Epstein logs. So he's busy. He's busy.
He's moved on.
I can't wait to leave the Jets Reddit subreddit Sunday evening and not even think about this team for 3 months.
That's not true. You think you'll go 3 months without visiting the Reddit, without reading a mock draft? Like, no chance.
My goal is to not go back to that subreddit till draft night. I need for my own.
But will you admit, to Pat and your friends, when you go back?
Oh yeah. He not only will he admit it, he won't actively admit it. He'll just start sending us screenshots with like exclamation points about how pumped he is about something. He can't help himself. We got like 5 of them the other day.
Yeah, it's true. That definitely happened. I don't deny any of that. That's why I just can't be there for like 2-3 months.
I guarantee you, Pepper.
Maybe if they grab if they grab a big free agent or something, then I guess I'd jump in for that. But beyond like a big free agent or draft night, I don't need to be in there for any reason.
There's no way you go February without subjecting your friends to
it's
a Jets
Reddit
radio
drive.
TED Talk from Tim in that group chat.
They don't need it. No, I can do that. I don't need to do that.
They don't want you to do it, but you will do it.
No, I can. And as soon as Sunday night hits, I'm going to leave that subreddit, and I'm not going to think about them for a while.
Geoff, under worst take at the Custies, I don't even remember this one, but there's a time code for it from Rob. It just says, Tim said NFL referees were largely too young, and the league would be much better off if they were older and had more experience.
I don't remember saying that at all. I don't believe that.
You said it.
If anything, it sounds like I was trolling or joking, because we like to joke. Jeff likes to joke about how his dad is the prime age to be an NFL ref.
Yeah, Tim, you can't just sit here and say that these worst takes were just like actually not my real take. That's not how it works.
No, but that take does not sound like something I would say.
That sounds Tim, that sounds exactly like something you would say.
He's just he's saying he might have said it. He is potentially questioning the context for which.
Yeah, I may have said it in jest. Every now and then that happens in the Custies where something gets put there, and I'm like, I don't remember saying that at all. And if I said it, I think I was probably joking, because
hold on. You can't do that. You can't say that Oh,
But
I
the
don't.
odd times
I don't
context
remember
gets missed,
saying
like
this,
Geoff said.
but if it is true that I did say it, then it had to have been a joke. You don't remember saying it. How do you know?
I don't remember saying it, but I can't ever recall having that opinion. I feel like the opposite's true. I like the experienced referees, but I don't want them to be, so old that they're like decrepit. So it's not quite the position I'm taking, or at least the context must have been different. I'd like to hear what I actually said in the context.
When it comes to referees, like I look at those line judges when they come in and try to spot the ball, and it is probably like any relationship in life. Like one of them is dominant and one of them is assertive. And you just hope the dominant one is walking the line that you need for your team or your bet. But one of them's dominant and one of them's always a bitch boy to the dominant one walking in on the other side. I don't like it.
Okay. Minnesota and Detroit. Detroit is playing all of its starters, according to head coach Dan Campbell, and they are 3-point favorites against probably Nick Mullins and the Vikings. Tim, you thought Nick Mullins was bad. How about Jaron Hall?
Yeah. I don't know why the Jets didn't go after Jaron Hall like they should have gone after Josh Dobbs or should have gone after Nick Mullins or something.
Well, if they had Nick Mullins or if they had Josh Dobbs or Nick Mullins, if you think that they would have won the Super Bowl with Mike White, they probably would have won the Super Bowl with those guys.
No, I think Mike White's legit good. I think they'd be in the playoffs at least with Mike White. I like Mike White. Whatever.
Because you like Mike White, that makes him way better than those guys?
I've seen enough Mike White to play to know that Mike White fits in the
Question.
system.
What is Mike White's career record?
It's like 2-9 or something stupid.
It's 2-7.
But like at least 2 of those games, he was so hurt at the end of last year that he could barely throw the ball. So like, I'm gonna take those games kind of off the ledger. But anyway, yeah, I'll make it easy. I'm gonna go with Detroit in this game.
Vikings.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Vikings too. This is a no.
They have an outside shot of making the playoffs, but
it's
a
unlikely.
bank shot.
It's unlikely.
Yeah, it really is.
What is
They're
the
drawn
scenario?
to like a 2-outer.
They have to win in Seattle and Green Bay has to lose? Is that what it is?
Green Bay and Seattle both have to lose. Yeah, and they need to win. And I don't think there's anybody else who can catch them in that instance. Because then they would be 9-8. Yeah, I believe that's what it has to be.
All right, that's not.
And also, I think Tampa has to win.
Because
I think Tampa might beat them in a tiebreak for a wild card that New Orleans or Atlanta doesn't beat them in or something.
No,
New Orleans doesn't win because New Orleans can be 9-8. So I think maybe if the Falcons have to be the one who wins. There's something.
Yeah, because if the Vikings win, they would go to 8-9. They have to all get in at 8-9. That would be the way that this works. So yeah, the Bucks and Saints both can't win because they would be 9-8. Both of them, they would just pass them on record.
That's what it would be. So the Falcons have to win.
So there's our parlay of the week: Saints lose, Packers lose, Seahawks lose, Vikings win. For the Vikings to make the playoffs bet.
That sounds like fun. There's a playoff game. The Cowboys would be delighted to have.
But here's the thing.
Name it.
You said that there was a 0% chance of them making the playoffs. Yeah. If people do actually want to leverage the Ander curse, this is the time to do it. What does that pay? Let's find out what we have to make this a show bet. So Bears win, Vikings win, Falcons. Oh, your mighty Falcons. They would have to win.
I kind of like them this week.
Of course you do. And what was the other one? Cardinals. That pays 30-1. Watch the team tie and screw it.
Oh, you know that the Falcons and Saints are going to end up tying if they had to.
Let's get to that game then. Saints are favored by 3.5 at home against the New Orleans Falcons. Yeah, New Orleans Saints. Do you have it at 3 or 3.5 on the board, Paul? 3. All right, we're doing it at 3 then. It did move to 3.5 in real time. Either way, I like Atlanta in this game. The Saints are just good one week and the absolute shittiest team in the league the next. The Falcons and the Saints' run defense has been like kind of putrid until last week. I think the Falcons might run all over them.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
Not the coin. The coin likes the Saints.
I
It'd
wish
be fun
I
though to have the
disagreed.
Falcons in the. It'd be fun to have the Falcons in the playoffs.
It would
that's
not
for
be.
sure.
Imagine Dallas at Atlanta indoors. Dallas might win
That
game
wouldn't be
by
the game. That wouldn't be the
400.
game.
It'd be
That wouldn't
Philly.
be the game. It'll likely be Philadelphia, and I would lean towards the Falcons. in
You
that
you
game.
not? You've leaned towards the Falcons every single week this season.
No, I believe I'm pretty sure I took the Bears last week.
Did you?
Well, history's been very kind to that dog shit division winner hosting.
It certainly, except for last year when Dallas beat Tampa by about 3 million.
Okay. There's obviously examples, but it's been kind. It's been kind.
Like even
Correct.
even when Washington got in with Heineke a few years ago, and they had to play Brady in the first round, they almost beat Brady. And then the Bucs
Yeah,
won
the
Super Bowl.
Chargers beat the Colts in that spot. I feel like Arizona with Kurt Warner
Oh,
won some games in
that-
that spot.
That
Panthers-
Chargers one, we were at a friend's house and they didn't have cable, and I had to watch it on like antennas, but it was really fuzzy. That was the Darren Sproles game, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was Darren Sproles' little jitterbugging up the sidelines. There's another really funny one. The Marshawn Lynch insane like earthquake run was a home game versus the Saints, I believe, in that spot.
Yep.
Like
It
a
was.
Super Saints team.
They were like
Not a
12
Super Saints
they were like
team,
12 they were like 12-point dogs in that game.
Yet
So,
another
yeah.
example of Sean Payton doing the least with the most.
Well, that was an unfair. I mean, that was a road game sent into a hornet's nest, but still, like
Yeah,
that
not- not his
spot
fault.
has but also like
Yeah,
to
it's
mention,
no
like,
safety game. Yeah, it's no safety game.
Yeah, and like we're not even talking about crazy fan bases. Like Arizona and San Diego came through in that spot.
Yeah.
in recent-
Additionally, I mean, I would say that you've taken Atlanta 90% of the time this year, Tim. And
I
would
I
you
would agree with that. I would agree with that.
And they're 5-11 against the spread. So that's probably where your 500 season went, was with Atlanta.
Yeah, I don't know how to quit them, even though I'm no longer cheering for them. I still like them every week.
The Niners are now 0-4 since you've been on their bandwagon this season. 0-3 the
They-
first
well, they
time.
just-
Actually,
they-
sorry,
they-
one.
they won
You're
last
right.
week.
Yeah, 1-4. So they were 0-3 the first time, then you jumped off, and now they're 1-1. And McCaffrey isn't playing this week; he's hurt.
Is he? Well, just don't need to play him. They're not playing for a couple more weeks.
Yeah. So Atlanta for everyone except for the coin. Oh, that brings us to the midway point of the show, which means it's time for a mini version of Cust Corner.
Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. He's got the hottest takes with the highest stakes. He should be president of the United States, but it's Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. Cust Corner, hee 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 hee.
So many things. I don't know what to talk about.
Pick one.
You know, well, what do you want? I don't know. Like, I'm getting really good at blending things. I have some frustrations. I feel like we need to thrash out some anxieties that we've been dealing with over tip culture. I don't know. What do you want to talk about?
Well, I feel like the tip culture thing can, that's sort of evergreen. I don't know where Geoff went. Jeff's video is gone.
I was saying he disappeared.
He's now just the blue G. Oh, there he is. He's back. He was doing something unseemly off camera there, I think, and he had to turn his camera off. Either way, I want to hear about your blender.
So I decided for New Year's that I want to eat more cleanly and more healthily. So I bought me a blender, and I started today with making soups. I bought the stuff to make smoothies. I decided to go for health, but I've never really had a blender, so I didn't realize how it really works. It is
Whoa.
so much easier to work these things than I've ever thought.
What did you think a blender did?
I know what it does, but like you see them in the restaurants or at like Orange Julius or whatever, and there's all the various settings and buttons to push and like grades or whatever. Mine is just a simple one. It has a 1, 2, and a 3 on it in terms of speed. That indicates how fast the blades move, I guess. So many revolutions per millisecond or whatever. I don't know. And it's so easy to make. So today I made a very healthy roasted red pepper soup that was fantastic. And I have some stuff ready to make some more soups with. I have these recipes that I've been working on the last couple of days. I have stuff for smoothies. I'm actually getting really good at blending stuff, and I'm pretty proud of that.
Do you wish you had his skills, Geoff, of blending?
Like, what does that mean? You're good at blending stuff. You hit the button, you hold the top down, like kids.
Well, no, I don't
working
need to hold
at
the top down. My top
booster
goes down on
juice.
its own. Well, it's just it's like I'm good at putting it all together, figuring what. So far, I've been good at figuring out the flavor profiles that work together and blending it to the right consistency.
Well,
I'm pretty proud of myself.
I'm actually
No, a good blender is
yeah.
clutch. They got like a Vitamix,
And like,
or...
it's going to result in healthier eating because of it. Because it'll be cleaner. It won't be fried.
I mean,
and heavy.
all of your eating at home with your newfound love of cooking, I think just all of it in totality results in a much healthier everything.
So I can't believe that
Yes.
you actually went out of your way to get a scale to measure everything to make sure that you have the right blends of everything.
Well, until today, that wasn't true because I was just eyeballing it.
Oh, so you have a scale now?
We had this conversation. I had to go pick up a scale.
I didn't have
Did
this
you read the
I
manual?
didn't have this conversation with you.
Well, in our group text thread, we had this conversation today,
Oh.
and I had to go get a scale because apparently a lot of us are bad at eyeballing things. According to you, you're awful at it.
Yeah, well, that happened to me. Like I purchased a scale towards the end of last year, and I decided for my New Year's resolution, Geoff, to start weighing my food because I started gaining a bunch of weight, and I assumed it was just between quitting smoking. And I was still running a bunch. I was burning a ton of calories. I couldn't figure out why I was gaining a bunch of weight. So I was like, all right, I'm going to go back to what I used to do like 10 years ago. I'm going to weigh all my food so I know exactly like to the calorie where everything is coming from and try to root out this problem. And for the past year, my son and I have like a piece of toast or an English muffin. Every single morning for breakfast, I eat it with him. It's something that we do together. But what he likes to do is he actually likes to put the butter on or put the margarine on it. Then he likes to take like a little spoon and eat part of the margarine. It's great. He enjoys it. And it gets him to eat, his carbs for the day and have something for breakfast that isn't like junk food. But I started letting him put the butter on mine and I never really paid attention to it. And then I weighed out the margarine today and I was like, oh, because I always accounted for like 30 calories worth of like butter or margarine, whatever it was going to be. He was putting 300 calories worth of margarine on my piece of toast every single morning. It was more calories in the margarine than it was for the entire meal. I ate over 60,000 extra calories just on margarine alone than I thought I ate and measured for throughout the course of the year until I weighed it. And I was like, oh my God, this is what's going on.
That's wild.
Yeah. I don't even know how to respond to that. That's a lot.
I don't know either. That is just a lot of margarine.
Good finding the breakdown.
Yeah, it took, and I was like, oh my God, how much extra margarine? So I did it out. It was around 60,000 extra calories, and that's not even based on like
I'm very surprised that somebody as thoroughgoing as you could not notice an extra
what? Sorry?
worth of food in your diet.
What do you mean?
An extra 60,000 calories worth of food in your diet. That's what you said, that throughout the year, that's how many calories you consumed of margarine.
Yeah.
That seems like a lot of calories that someone as close and attentive as you would not notice. I'm surprised that
it's because I just whatever I had eyeballed for margarine was just completely wrong. Like I thought it was like 50 and it turned out to be 250, and I was eating it every day.
So these are good lessons to learn, but I'm hoping the stuff that I put in these soups are all healthy. So it won't matter. Like, it doesn't really matter how many cups of celery I put in.
No, it doesn't.
Does it really matter how many onions I put in?
No, but really listen. You're taking the first step into cooking. I don't think that just what you think goes in things makes the perfect blend. If you follow a recipe, having the scale to weigh that all out, so you have proportioned vegetables and the right mix of everything would actually make everything better. It's not about health.
I agree with that.
You're eating very healthy. That's fine. You can eat as much of it as you want. But in order to make it taste good, you probably need to have the right proportions.
I think that's right. I mean, that I was more comfortable doing trial and error than it's the stuff that's like bad for you. Like, or not bad for you, but the higher in calorie stuff.
Sure.
That's the stuff I really intend to use the scale for.
Oh, for sure. But even with that, maybe that's part of the fun of making the soup is trying out this much of this and this much of that or that much of that spice. Maybe there is a fun in that, but at least this way you can kind of set a baseline of what you should be doing and having so much celery or red pepper or whatever it might be in every single serving, or at least to put in the blender to scale it out. And then you can mess around with it from there to see what you like.
And it'll be the same for the smoothies that I intend to now make in the morning as a meal replacement as well.
I mean, it's not really a meal replacement. You're making a meal.
Oh, yeah, but it's replacing a meal.
It's not. It
Which
is a
makes it
meal.
a meal
You're
replacement.
not replacing a meal. It is a meal.
Okay. Well, I am replacing my meal with that as a meal.
So you're,
if you will. Fine,
you're having something different for breakfast.
Sure. I'm replacing the breakfast I would usually eat with this.
But it always sounded like you ate really healthy breakfast. You were always eating oatmeal or something.
Yeah, but oatmeal is still very high in calories and it's got carbs, so that's bad.
I mean,
So trying to reduce
carbs aren't necessarily.
I-
What are you doing, keto?
I get it. I get that carbs are by and large bad for you. I get it.
Who told
so
you that carbs are by
By
and
and
large bad
large,
for you?
like a little bit of carbs are okay, but I know that lots of carbs are bad for you.
Complex
So I'm
carbs
trying
can
to
be very
reduce.
bad for you, but you need carbohydrates to have energy.
Yeah. Well, I've got enough energy stored for a while that I don't need too many carbs.
That's not necessarily how it works there, Tim.
I got Geoff too. We've got enough energy stored.
Yeah,
in
but
our
those are
bodies
the
that we
fat
don't
where they're
need.
lying. Those are sleepy carbs. Those aren't energy carbs where they sit now. There was a chance, but
don't-
that's dead.
I don't know what that means.
There's
doesn't
no
mean they're
energy
sleepy.
in there's no the extra loaf of bread I ate at the steakhouse the other day isn't energy anymore, Tim. It's just sitting there. That's
Well,
what
that's
it means.
all that body fat is excess energy waiting to be burned.
Okay.
It is. That's what body fat is. It's just excess energy.
Yes, but if you fuel your body with carbohydrates throughout the course of the day, you can turn those into active carbohydrates, and it will propel you to like run more, and you'll have more energy and more ability to exert yourself throughout the course of one day. If you let those sit, they turn into fat, and then you need to have carbs to have energy, but not too many carbs in order to burn off the fat. But the fat on you is not going to give you energy.
No, of course not. It doesn't give you energy, but it is an excess
He's
of
saying
energy.
when you eat those carbs, don't then go watch a bunch of what's it called? Don't bed rot with Netflix after you eat the carbs.
Well, yeah, you shouldn't bed rot at all. That's bad. But yes.
Sounded like you were bed rotting today. Making soup. Weren't you working?
I am a busy person. My soup was really good too.
I haven't worked in an office in a while. I run my own business, so there are no off days, Geoff. But the first day back after New Year's, I don't recall that. I mean, I recalled it at Fantasy when we all worked there being a very busy day because we'd all have to like catch up and there was active sports going on. But I would guess that most white-collar jobs, not much. Send a few emails, read a few emails, take a nap at your desk, that kind of thing. How was your Christmas? That sort of stuff.
Yeah, you would think so. Everyone's just, punching the clock on a day like today. I don't know. Tim, like, I don't know. Like, he makes it like he's really busy, but then when you ask him what he's up to, there's not a whole lot.
I'm a very busy person with many things I need to do.
I did today.
But I'm very proud of my soup.
Well, listen, I think that's a really good step. With the scale that I had today, I went out and I bought a bunch of like ground turkey, ground beef, and chicken, and then I weighed it all out and then put it into individual type packages and put them back in my fridge because my wife asked me, she's like, why don't you just make a whole bunch of ground beef and do it that way? I was like, see, that's the problem. That's what I normally do. And I think that part of dieting in that way is knowing... Like you can say, yeah, calories in, calories out. You need this much protein. You need this much carbohydrates, this much fat, whatever it is per day. But you also have to know what your eating habits are at the same time. If I make a pound worth of ground beef and then I separate it into separate containers after the fact, well, I might just have two because they're already made. And they're sitting there waiting for me to eat if I'm still hungry. If I don't make them and I have to make them individually each time, well, then it's not like, hey, I'm still hungry. Let me go have some raw ground beef. That's not happening. So you have to know yourself in those ways. And so you don't stumble over anything.
That is a very good, that's a very good tip. Leftovers are actually quite an enemy of dieting.
Oh, 100%. They're just there for the taking. Heat them up, ready to go. Although, have you started using your air fryer to reheat things instead of your microwave?
Yes.
Is it better?
Yes.
It is, isn't it?
So far,
good, Tim.
for the things that you can air fry to heat up, like some things you can't, but
You're on the
that you
way
can air
home
fry.
with that takeout. You let your significant other at home know, turn on that air fryer. We'll be home in a couple minutes.
I feel like McDonald's
kids
fries
can
would not
eat
air
first.
fry well.
Oh, yes, they
Kids
do.
can eat
Absolutely.
first. They don't care if it's
Would they? I'm dubious. Maybe they
Hold-
would.
Hold on. You think that McDonald's fries are better reheated in the microwave than an air fryer?
I know. I think they're unsalvageable once they get.
Well,
cold.
you're not going to get them back to peak like as soon as they're made fries, but if you want them to be more edible, air frying them over microwaving them is way. They just get super soggy in the. Everything gets soggy in the microwave.
Oh no, I'm not disagreeing with any
There's
of
a
that. I'm
difference
just
between like
not
cold.
sure that they're salvageable.
There's a difference between cold and like you had a little traffic coming home, like
Leftover KFC done in the air fryer. Let me tell you, it is great.
I believe that.
Yeah.
It is great, and the grease just drops off. Like it's probably healthier than the first.
That's not
bucket.
true, Tim. That's not true.
Healthier than
don't
the
think?
first bucket one.
Like the first go around
Yeah, why?
Down.
Why?
before
Why?
it gets cold. Because when you air fry it, like it's hot air at it, some of the grease will drop
It
off.
sucks the calories out.
Won't
I
be
don't
as greasy.
understand.
But Paul has a question about
Some of the
this.
grease will drop out.
My only question is about the leftover McDonald's fries. So you're saying that you eat the McDonald's in the parking lot of the McDonald's and then bring it home?
No, but let's say it is 2 a.m. and I'm going home after I was out playing cards or something, and I don't feel like sitting in the parking lot at 2:30 in the morning eating. So this is an instance where I'll just take it home. You just take it home, whatever, right? And because I often will go not to the McDonald's nearest me because of the problems, but I will go to one that's further from me. By the time I get my package home, it is not as piping hot as I'd like it to be. And whatever, a burger you can zap in the microwave for 10 seconds and it really doesn't make that big of a difference. But the fries are in rough shape. So this is an instance where you have the fries, or during the competition, because you got to buy the large fries to get stickers. You got some leftovers you're bringing back because you didn't finish all your fries.
Or when you get a two can dine for Percy use, sometimes.
Well, yeah, let's not call it that. Just a combo where you get multiples of things. Yeah, let's say you want to have one now and you want to have the next one tomorrow. Well, okay, you can do that, but the problem is the fries don't really last.
Under most.
Have you tried putting toast in the air fryer yet? Like instead of heating it up in the microwave?
Would that work?
No one reheats toast, man. Throw it out.
I wonder if that would work.
You work better than in the microwave. I've tried to cook bacon in the air fryer.
I did it the other day.
It's not
pretty good.
I see. I didn't love. It's hard to get the.
It got nice and crispy.
Then it feels like you're eating like Weight Watchers bacon. Like, what's the point?
Oh, I don't. Okay, so you know what? I thought the taste was on point. I fired it in the air fryer. I've got a dual basket, so I don't know what other people, but so I could have two things on the go at once. So I had two baskets of bacon going at the same time, and I thought that the bacon was fantastic out of the air fryer. It has my personal endorsement.
But don't you like it? I remember when we did, like, when people post the Twitter thing with like pick your bacon.
Crispy,
you always
crispy,
pick
crispy, crispy, crispy.
the worst.
And you can just
kind.
keep cooking it in the air fryer till it's not the worst kind. The worst kind is when it's like rubbery and soft and gross and slimy.
There's a good balance.
I want
but
my bacon
You're
so
right.
I
I
can
think
snap.
the way
I want
you
it so I
like
can
it,
snap
the
it.
air fryer can do it just fine, right?
Because the air fryer makes it really crispy, and you can just keep crisping it as long as you like, making sure that you keep the temperature below its smoke point, of course.
What do you set
It's
your
great.
temperature to then?
350. I read somewhere that the smoke point of bacon is like 400.
What do you want to conquer next with the blender? Like some homemade ice cream or something? Like, what are you going to look to do?
That would be good. The thing is, I don't really keep much ice in the house, so I think that would be a challenge.
I don't think ice is involved.
Oh, it's got to be.
Why?
I think it's like cream and milk.
I guess. I suppose. Yeah, I suppose. I thought fish figured there was ice involved.
Because it's called ice cream.
Well, it's called ice cream, so I assume there's ice and cream in it.
No,
Did you know
I really don't know.
that under the most reverse cursed things of the year, Geoff, the number one option to choose is NCIS Sydney, which Tim claimed was unfathomable to him that anyone would watch NCIS Sydney, and it has set records for streaming numbers on Paramount Plus and is one of the most acclaimed shows of the new season.
Acclaimed. I mean, I would say the least cursed, quote unquote, person was somebody I picked to win a major championship who won.
That's most reverse cursed.
Well, I picked them to do well, and they did well.
That's not the category.
Okay.
You said that this thing sucked and no one would watch it, and now a bunch of people.
I don't know if I
watch
said it sucked. I said the concept did.
No, you
I
said
didn't
it was bad, and
understand the purpose of
you
it.
said that you didn't understand how anyone could watch it.
I don't understand why anyone would want to watch
Tim,
it.
can I ask what the best Christmas present you gave was, or like the sub? What did you do this year? Like Subway cards?
Well, this year they were
again, or
no,
what?
no. This year they were giving out Big Macs and Big Chickens for gift cards. So this year we called an audible for some McDonald's cards.
Did you give
Which is
any
fine.
Venmo cryptocurrency?
No
out to
one
people?
dislikes a McDonald's card.
I've never heard anyone say a bad word about a McDonald's card.
Yeah, they're
Even
very.
people who don't love McDonald's can use it for the coffee.
Yeah, well, see, people will give them to me, and I might use them with the kids or whatever. But they are perfect re-gifting items, Jeff.
Sure, but yeah, that's fine. I'd rather re-gift someone a McDonald's card than a Subway card.
Oh,
I feel
100%.
better about it.
100%.
It's certainly more versatile. I give you.
Yeah, I mean, anyone who has kids, you can give them a McDonald's card to bring the kids to McDonald's.
Mm-hmm. And if they don't, like I said, even if they're not huge into McDonald's food, like the coffee is good. They can buy coffee with it.
As a tease for next Cust Corner, Jeff, Cust is out on tipping. He's not tipping anyone anymore. So I'll leave it at that.
No, that's not my point. That is not what I said.
You can make your point next week on Cust Corner.
I will. I will. But there is and it's not just me. It's clearly there's a groundswell online of people who are extremely stressed out.
I said next week.
And anxious about tipping. I'm not gonna ruin.
My wife accidentally tipped 20% on a order she was picking up the other day.
Oh, that's rough.
How do you feel about that, Tim?
I think that that there's even an option for tipping on a pickup order is criminal.
Yeah.
So
we'll get to it, but again.
So
COVID and our desire to save small business, I think
small businesses. I feel different. I feel differently about a small business. To be honest with you, I feel much differently about a small business. There, you're actually you're contributing to a business in your community. That's not where I'm concerned.
Either way, Jeff,
we'll get into it next week. There's a whole
as a tease. Tim went on Reddit and found the worst people alive to agree with him. He's like, see, there's tons of people like me.
No, yes,
and they're just the worst people.
Oh, Tim, that's bad. That is really bad.
No, people agree with me.
No,
we'll get into the.
We'll talk about it next week. We'll legislate this next week. I just want to throw it out there for the people.
Your peer group should mean 100 times more than Reddit on this matter.
From the guy who gets all of his opinions from Rumble.
I get none, but okay, next week.
Philly and the Giants. Talked about this one a little bit earlier. The Giants are 5.5-point dogs at home. Tyrod is starting this game. And as we talked about it a little bit earlier, and it's already baked into this line, that if the Cowboys jump out to too big of a lead, then the Eagles might just pull everyone out of this game, because if Dallas wins, they're the 2 seed. The only way that Philly can get the 2 seed is if Dallas loses and the Eagles win this game. I don't know how much they're going to be scoreboard watching, if it's somewhat close at halftime. I mean, do you think you could somewhat correlate these things together? Like, would you pick like Dallas -13 Giants money line, Tim? Or maybe play it the other way, like Eagles cover and Washington against the spread, that kind of thing?
No, because Philly could still win the game, even if Dallas won, right? Like, I think that's getting too cute.
Okay.
Personally, I like the Giants in the game. The Giants, it's really a play against Philadelphia. Philly's looked bad the last few weeks, and if they finally got what was coming to them this week after what should have happened to them really Christmas Day, the Eagles don't look right, and I just think the Giants will cover this number. I wouldn't be shocked. Here's a Fienberg game for you. I like the Giants to cover the number. Maybe Philly wins, but I'm going to take the Giants here.
It's funny. Remember last year, we all were just lining up to bet on the Giants against Minnesota in the playoffs?
Yes.
Because Minnesota was this team that had overachieved, and it all kind of came crashing down in one game. the same thing has happened to the Eagles in the second half of the season. Their defense has gotten markedly worse, and everyone on the offense is banged up to some extent. Like, Devontae Smith, I don't even know if he's going to be back for the playoffs at this point. A.J. Brown got hurt. Hurts got hurt. The offensive line has been banged up. So it hasn't been like 1v1 the same, but they had overachieved for so long, and it feels like the moment they beat the Bills, everything went to shit for them.
Yeah. Everything went right for Buffalo after that game, and everything went wrong for Philadelphia in terms of like how the season outlook has gone. It's weird how those things happen.
I do think there's a chance the Eagles can, if it all depends on their health, but like no one is expecting them to do anything, Geoff, in the playoffs, even as the 5 seed. Like Timmy's even said, he'd take Atlanta over Philadelphia in the first round of the playoffs. I don't want to say that they're a sleeping giant, but I still think if they can hit their upside, they're quite good.
Yeah, if you can trust your ceiling or can trust them at all on defense, which looks like a total mess.
The defense is
they
the
got
problem.
They got bullied there. Arizona in a tie game kicks the onside kick, pretty much just like, no, all we need to know is we're going to get the ball back. Like, we're probably not recovering this onside kick, but it guarantees that we're probably going to have enough time to get the ball back, and that's all we need because they can't stop anybody. That was embarrassing. The Giants, I've mentioned it a few times. It's that no man's land spread for the home dog. I'm taking it. I'm taking these 5.5 points everywhere at home.
Yeah, I'm going to
easy to see a situation where Philadelphia is the 5 seed and the Rams beat the Lions and it's Eagles Cowboys in the second round. And the Eagles beat Dallas because Dallas loves to throw away playoff games. So like Philly's not completely done and dusted, but they're in a lot worse shape than they were 6 weeks ago.
Oh, 100%. I don't think anyone would. I mean, they're 5.5 point favorites in a game they need to win against the Giants. It's not.
They're not playing good.
Dallas at Washington. Washington is a 13-point dog at home. Dallas locks up the 2 seed with a victory. I'm going to take the Commanders plus 13 at home. Dallas just hasn't been good outdoors.
No. But, like, the Commanders can win the second pick overall with a loss here, too.
I mean, if they win and the Patriots win, they still get the second pick.
Yeah, that's true.
They don't need to lose by 14 to get the second pick, though.
No, that's also true. Jeez, I don't know. I think Dallas puts it on them. I'll take Dallas here.
All right.
I don't have a feeling, but I'm going to lean with Tim.
All right, so Dallas, Washington for the coin, and myself. Chicago at Green Bay. If Chicago was, I don't want to say the 7 seed. Yeah, let's say the 7 seed. Do you think they could give Dallas a run in the first round, or do you think that's a terrible matchup for them? Because it does feel like they are going to be the best of the teams that don't make the playoffs with where they're at this point of the season.
Yes, I think so. Be curious what that team would have been like without the Tyson Badgett experiment.
Yeah, but they were like 2-2 with Badgett, weren't they?
Yeah, but they lost a game to the Chargers like 500-0 on a Sunday night game.
Sure, but it's not like their season wasn't killed because Badgett was starting for them if they went 500 through that time. Like, they sucked at the beginning of the year with Justin Fields.
They did. They certainly have gotten better. They've gotten a lot better than they were. Hard to say.
I feel like their defense is a lot better now.
Yeah, Fields has played a lot better. The defense is certainly playing better. I think it'll be an interesting game. Chicago will be a more entertaining team than whoever makes the 7 seed in the NFC by and large.
I'm going to take Chicago plus 3 in this game. It'll be back-to-back years
too.
the Packers get bounced by a divisional team that has nothing to play for and cost them the playoffs.
Yeah, and at home too, for that matter. I'm going to take the Bears as well. Bears, like the Jets, have an astronomical long streak of not beating their arch rivals.
Geoff?
All 3 of us.
Wow.
Bears.
That's a round of them. I do worry that this is going to be like a consensus pick for everyone this week.
Packers got the win total last week, though. With the
only risk is that, if Jordan Love is just legit, Jordan Love could just go up and down the field.
I mean, Aaron Rodgers was legit at this point last year. He couldn't move up ball up and down the field against a pretty porous Detroit defense last year.
Yeah, it's true.
So just because you have one bad game doesn't mean you're bad.
No, it doesn't. But I wouldn't discount. I'm taking the Bears, but if Love had a great game, it wouldn't shock me.
Sure. Kansas City at the Los Angeles Chargers. No idea who's going to play. I think it's Michael P. Ryan going to be playing running back for the Chiefs in this game, unless Edwards-Helaire can come back. Blaine Gabbert, Gabba Gabbert, starting a quarterback for them. He's probably better than Easton Stick. I'll take the Chiefs, +3.
I hope you're right. I just think the Chargers are going to win this game, which really annoys me. I'll pick the Chargers. I'd like to say anybody who enters the comments to say, like, Fienberg talks too long about the Chargers.
That was me.
Fuck off.
That was me who made those
Fuck off.
comments.
No, you cut me off. That's fine. They fuck off. Fuck all ya. Fuck off. You go listen to someone else be phony on a different podcast. You want an NFL hardcore fan lifestyle podcast, this is where you are. Okay? You can fast forward 4 minutes or just fuck off. Okay? They're good, it's not a problem. When they
If
give
you
up
feel that
60
Jeff talks
points
about
and
the
fire a
Chargers,
coach, I'm
if
going
you
to say
feel like
something. I got nothing to say today, so you're all lucky. I got nothing to say. There's nothing to say. There's nothing to say. In a week today, hopefully a coach wants to coach my team. But as for now, there's nothing to say. So we can move on.
If Jeff has just told you to F off, feel free to get your revenge by voting for Jeff in the Custody Awards next week. I don't treat you potential voters like that. I don't feel like I can write off a basket of deplorables like Jeff just did.
You're Mr.
Talks too long.
You're Mr. Deplorable? Are you
I'm just saying I'm not
so
writing off voters that's not good
you're
enough.
framing Jeff as the crooked Hillary of this election.
Yes, I am. And why? Because that election didn't go crooked Hillary's way.
Many are
I don't want
calling
this election to
you
go Jeff's way.
Unfortunately, you're not Trump, pal. You're Vivek.
Can you tell the difference in their campaigns?
Well, what one person people seem to at least like, whereas one person no one seems to like.
That is true. That is true. Just saying, if you feel personally aggrieved by Jeff unnecessarily taking a drive-by smear at you there in that little conversation.
No, I'm telling you,
Get your revenge.
I'll say it again. I'll double down. I will double down.
Do it.
I will double down. The week after they fire the coach, the week after they give up a 60 burger on national TV, the week after the stories of in-fight locker rooms and star players punching walls to break their hands because the fucking coaches and nitwit come out. I'm going to say whatever the fuck I want. You don't like it. You go listen to someone else. You go listen to some phony person's podcast. Okay? That's fine. There's lots of them available. A lot of phony fucking people doing a podcast talking about football. Go.
If you're a person
Do you have
who
anybody in
left
mind?
a
Do you have anybody in mind?
If you shut up. If you are a person who has left a comment complaining about that thing from Jeff, well, then you have enough time to leave an audio rating and review on both Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And if you do, and subscribe and set on your auto downloads to both of those sites and leave that 5-star review, you can win $200 or a free entry into the one and done. It does not take as long to do both those things than it does to complain about Jeff talking too long about the Chargers. That I guarantee.
I got nothing to say this week, so I'll like to roll over my time bank into the future.
Well, that means Tim has to make a pick.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Chargers here.
Me too, reluctantly. I don't know if I did that yet.
You did. Rams
Okay.
at San Francisco. Are we getting the Darnold in this game, Tim?
You should. There's no reason why Brock Purdy should take a single snap in this game.
I like the Rams, +3. They worried me after what I saw last week against the Giants.
Why
I will
would
say that.
Stafford take a snap in this game?
Well, then it goes to the
Rams basically have nothing to play for. There's a marginal outside chance they might be the 7 seed instead of the 6 seed.
Who are the Rams going to play?
Almost certainly they're going to Detroit. Like
That's-
95%.
which is what the people want to see. Well, I guess
Agreed. That
If
should be the
game
Sunday night.
is
That
on
should
my
be the Sunday night game.
mother-in-law's birthday, I'm not going to dinner.
you're just going to watch
I
that
need
one.
that.
Yeah, it's a good
I
game.
need that. No, that is like I need that. That should maybe be the Monday nighter if they're doing that still for wild card week.
They are.
No,
They are.
I would say that, I mean, they definitely don't want to go. They already went to Dallas this year. That did not turn out well for them. And I guess there's a chance that Dallas loses, Philly loses, and Detroit wins, and then all of a sudden Detroit is the 2 seed in the NFC. Like, that's plausible. That's in the range of outcomes. But the Rams, I think, are much better going to Detroit than going to Dallas, and all it would take is a Rams loss and a Packers win, and all of a sudden the Rams aren't there anymore.
That's great. That is not worth risking Stafford and Kupp and Puka and all. You have no depth. You have zero depth. Who cares? You're in the playoffs. You've earned a de facto bye week. Don't play any of these people 1 second. There is no reason to do so. And I would be very surprised if the Rams did that.
The Lions' home game is going to get a prominent TV spot.
That's going to be the Sunday at like the 5
It's not going to be a
5:25
dumpster
Sunday.
Saturday.
Yeah,
That's the
it'll be Saturday.
5:25
It'll be
Sunday.
Saturday night.
I
I remember very vividly. I want to say it was 2011. The Saints Lions game was the Saturday night game. It was an awesome game too. When the Detroit finally made the playoffs with Stafford and Calvin Johnson, that was the Saturday night game. It was a really good game.
The Lions, Stafford going to Detroit would not be on Saturday night. We already know the AFC South would be one of the Saturday games.
Yeah, that's the early. That is the early
Cleveland
Saturday
Jacksonville
game.
has early Saturday game written all over.
Oh, you know what?
No, because
it might
Jacksonville played the late last year.
It might be the Monday night game.
No.
Maybe.
Then what's the Monday night game? Dallas again?
Lions, Rams.
I assumed it would be. It's an A. If they had NFC last year, they'll probably give them an AFC this year. It would be, I would assume, Miami, Pittsburgh, or Buffalo, Pittsburgh.
Miami, Pittsburgh would be huge because Pittsburgh and that stadium would be like 50-50.
Hopefully,
even if it's Miami's first home playoff game in forever.
Hopefully, it would turn out like the last time that those two teams played on Monday Night Football, and it will end 3-0.
They played a playoff. They played wild card weekend. Matt Moore had to start for Miami.
They did.
Yeah, that wasn't on Monday night though.
No, they didn't even do Monday nights then.
I assume that Cleveland and Jacksonville would get the first game on Saturday afternoon. Then on the Saturday night game, that I would give Philly, Tampa.
Last year it was Seattle.
We don't need to speculate. We don't need to speculate on this. They will tell us what the schedule is.
Jeff and I will just do this later on our own.
Yeah,
it's what we do. It's one of the very few things that Jeff and I will do independently of this conversation.
So you're taking San Francisco -3.
I am, because I just can't fathom the Rams playing anybody important for any time, given how thin they are and how the NFC is kind of open outside of San Francisco. And I if I was the Rams, I wouldn't be scared of any of these teams. I think my best is almost as good as anybody's best, maybe other than San Francisco, but I play them twice a year. And I'm not showing them anything in this game.
Paul?
So the Rams have a real chance to be that surprise team that runs all the way to the Super Bowl. Don't be shocked by it.
I mean, I had them in the NFC Championship game before the year, so
yeah,
we'll see. Paul, you had something to say?
Yeah, I have no idea who's going to start. But, like, if it's Darnold versus Wentz, and then it turns into, like, a game of backups on both sides of the ball, so it turns into, like, a preseason game, 42.5 for a total seems remarkably high.
I agree. That's a good catch.
Good call. Good call. Yeah.
But we won't really I was going through the playoff simulator, and Tim's right. Like, they can play Dallas, they can play
Detroit,
but like those are the two outcomes, both in domes. It doesn't really change very much.
See, I think it changes things significantly. I would 100% want to play in Detroit in the first round rather than
not even close. You look at what
I would rather play Detroit, but not enough that I would risk injury to any of my star players to make it happen.
I don't even think it's close. If I'm a Rams fan, I respect the roar and their restore, but they haven't accomplished shit. Like, let me try to put the hex right back on them and make them hate themselves again. Like, look what they did on Thanksgiving. Yeah, I would make an effort to avoid Dallas if I was the Rams. I think just matchup wise, it's just a much better situation, despite
But also, like Pat was saying, we'll know what's going on if Green Bay is winning that game or losing that game. The Rams will also know.
Yeah, those games are happening at the same time, by the way.
But so is the Philly and Dallas game. We talked about that too. It's like, if things go in one direction or the other, you can just pull on the brake.
Yes, but I mean, obviously we don't know exactly what's going to happen. One of those games is a 3-point spread. The other one's a 13-point spread.
Yeah, you're right.
So you're taking.
I think it's too risky.
You're taking San Francisco, Geoff?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Seattle and Arizona. Arizona are only 2.5-point dogs at home against Seattle. 3-point dogs against Seattle. Let's see. In real time, what did it go down to? It is 2.5 in real time. But it's 3 on the board, so 3 it is. I still like the Seahawks here. Seahawks, I mean, they need to win, but they're probably not going to make the playoffs anyway. But I think that people are kind of overrating the Cardinals right now. And maybe Seattle's just on its last legs. And they're not good at all, but I think that they're still better than Arizona, Tim.
Yeah, I mean, we both think they're making the playoffs because we're both picking Chicago.
Oh, yeah, I suppose that's true.
And we're both picking Seattle.
I picked
just
Chicago
like last year.
Just because you cover a 3-point spread doesn't mean that you win the game.
No, you're right. But, more often than not, it does. And we're both picking the Bears. And
sure,
like
but this isn't a win
in.
But this isn't a win
Right.
in scenario for Seattle. They have to win to have a chance. But just because they win doesn't mean that they're in.
You're absolutely correct. But it's like last year, they're going to win and get in because Green Bay is going to lose. I like Seattle in that spot because of it.
Okay. Geoff?
This is an unmitigated fucking disaster.
Oh, yeah, the 4.5.
They won last week. So I might have to hedge this. If the Bears win, maybe I don't hedge it, and it ends up being a big gamble.
They're simultaneous games.
Do you want to know if the Chargers lose and Arizona wins? I believe the Chargers would pick before Arizona, and you may as well just cut a limb off my body. I deserve. If this was in olden times, I would deserve to lose a limb.
You want me to go full Shylock on you? I'll take a pound of your flesh.
Yeah, out of embarrassment, out of letting down my crest, my village, I would be forced to live the rest of my life with one arm. Out of shame. So it would never be forgotten that we drafted before Arizona based on the preseason discourse. That's potentially on the table. Part of me would love it. Guys, last night might have become a 4 QB top 10. So it's going to be fucked up. We got a lot of time to talk about it. I'm in shambles, though. I'm picking Seattle. I might have to hedge to get out of this. The spread moved. The money line hasn't moved a ton. I can still play a plus 120. I feel dead inside. Let's move on.
Seattle's on my teaser. Or my parlay, sorry.
So it's Pittsburgh. Okay, we'll recap at the end. I don't understand. What team are you taking, Geoff, against the spread here?
Seattle.
Okay. I watched the third quarter of Michigan and Alabama. And that's the longest I've watched college football here. I don't know how fucking anyone watches this stupid sport. Everyone sucks.
It was like a high school game for some of that game.
Yeah,
that
horrible.
Was
horrible football.
Yeah.
The second game was much better. The second game was actually much better.
Well,
the fellow who's the quarterback for Washington. The Rose Bowl's the prettiest sporting event of the year. But to watch Penix and Washington last night, oh goodness, that team looked.
Gabe's tweets?
No, I didn't. But he was at Pasadena, was he not?
Yeah.
Good for him. Is he going to Houston for the championship game next Monday?
I'm not sure. I was happy for him. Gabe, I've known ever since I met Gabe. The first time I met him, I feel like he walked in that Michigan jacket. So he's been.
Did Gabe go to Michigan?
Did Gabe go to Michigan? I feel like. I want you to ask Cam that. Please make a note on the desk. Ask Cam tomorrow if Gabe went to Michigan.
I'll jot that down for myself.
I will say I do like Washington in the championship game.
Great.
Michigan it is.
Denver at Vegas. Stidham versus AOC. Vegas is a 2.5-point favorite in this game. Good enough for me. I'll take Vegas at home.
Selfishly, this is maybe the most important game of the week.
You don't want Denver drafting a quarterback, do you?
No, Denver's at 7. If they want to trade up, they've got to trade up. Maybe that's what they got to do. Pat, there's some people saying that they might do a Sean Payton might try to do the Jared Goff trade.
Ooh.
Like trade Wilson with a ton to just get out of it more clean. That's for a different day. No, my interest in this game is I want the Raiders to win. I want the Raiders to look amazing. I want the Raiders and Mr. Davis to feel their coach is already walking the sidelines. No, that's not, this is something that's been in my, I've been counting the teams, the math on who's getting fired. And, I do not believe, even if Dennis Allen and Arthur Smith got fired with the opening in Carolina, I believe the one place Harbaugh will not go is like SEC country. I'm not worried about an NFC South Harbaugh. I am worried about an Oakland Raiders Harbaugh, potentially a Commandos Harbaugh. The Raiders, though. The Raiders would, even if they like the coach there, Mark Davis might be like, I like this coach, but I've got an opportunity to get better, and I'm going to go all in to do it. So I really need Pierce to prove he needs that job Sunday. So I'm selfish.
Am I crazy to think that he might actually be a good coach?
He could be Dan Campbell.
Yeah, I think it seems like they play for him. Like that's out of all the things, like you could have Brandon Staley, super genius, but no one wants to play for the idiot. It seems like they want to play for him. Like that's half the battle, the motivational factor.
I agree. I'd roll the dice and say, look, I'll give you a 2-year deal. I'll bring you on as the permanent head coach 2 years. If you aren't material through an off season and a preseason and camp, well, then I let you go at the end of next year.
Why are you telling me in personal correspondence Harbaugh's going to the Raiders?
Because I think if Harbaugh wants the Raiders job and expresses he wants the job, that's where he's going to go.
I can't.
Just like Chicago and the Raiders would be the two perfect spots for him. You may get lucky that both of those teams may keep the coaches that they have, and will, unless Harbaugh says, "I want that job," and maybe he won't because he's
the Chicago one. I've looked into. Apparently, the president of the Bears is a former Big Ten president, and they don't get along one bit. Just
I can see it. No, I can see it. I don't want to take away your hope. So I want you to have hope. I don't want to see you without hope.
Also,
I'll lay a marker down. He's not going to the Chargers, Jeff. Sorry, not happening. He's not going to a place where they rent a stadium, and he's the second fiddle in there. And you're going to a division with Patrick Mahomes. I'm not.
Look at the playoff picture this year. Even if the Chiefs had 11 wins, I am sorry. There are a lot of things to like. Oh, the Chargers. With this extra playoff spot, it doesn't matter that there's a good team in your division. Look at the teams contending for playoff spots this year. If you run your program competently, you contend to make the postseason. You do. Before we move on from this game, people are so embarrassing. People are so embarrassing simping for a guy who's got 40 fucking million guaranteed coming for him and think he's been done dirty. Okay? Embarrassing. That incident on the sideline weeks ago, are people stupid? Do you know what that was? That is like when you tell your 17-year-old child 25 times house rule number 1, 2, and 3. You can break a lot of rules, but house rule number 1 and 2 do not break or I will lose my shit. And Russ broke them for time 26, and the head coach lost his shit. That it had nothing to do about one specific incident at a goal line. I promise you. Yeah. So no, and people think that Russell Wilson's teammates give a fuck. There's no one less than 0.5% of the league can relate to Russell Wilson. Dude making $800,000, $1.4 million does not give a shit how the Broncos are treating Russell Wilson. Does not. The only players who could hold this against the Broncos would literally be like if Kirk Cousins is looking to sign with Denver next year. Only a $250 million quarterback who's worthy of that contract can look at what happened in Denver in the last week and be like, oh, I don't know if I'd want to play in Denver. The rest of the league, it's not relatable to at all.
So you're
I'm picking the Raiders. I need them to dominate, though.
Okay. Tim.
Yeah, Raiders as well.
Last game, Sunday Night Football. Bills at Miami. Bills are 3-point favorites on the road at Hard Rock Stadium. I want to start with Paul. How you feeling, pal?
Been a Bills fan my whole life. Geoff was actually in my DMs the other day, and he was talking about how like people are like, "Oh my God, why are the Bills doing this? Why are they?" How everyone on the internet is like surprised that the Bills were looking so good, and then all of a sudden, like almost lose to the Chargers, almost lose to the Patriots. We do this. This is the identity of our franchise. I mean, I'm hoping that like we can get a little bit of luck, which we won't because it's the Buffalo Bills, with Baltimore pulling it out or with Tennessee pulling it out. That makes this game a lot less stressful. We can go in there and absolutely tear them up. Miami's got a lot of injuries, but Bills fans know. You expect the most soul-crushingly worst thing to happen. Hope for the best. Bills win, Bills cover. That's my official pick, but I don't really bet on the Bills because my heart's too invested.
Geoff, Bills fan, says Bills and Bills cover. Do you agree?
I do agree.
See, I agree. I agree too. That's the problem. I've seen Buffalo just fuck this up so many
This
times.
is a different spot, though.
It's not a different spot. They have to beat a team who's like on its last legs, who just taking a look at their injury report, you'd be like, well, they have no one left. Like Tyreek is hurt. This we know. Waddle's going to like end up playing here. Duke can barely walk. Tua's hurt. Like they'll find a way to lose by 1. But I'll take the Bills -3.
I think Dolphin fans have a lot to be proud of for this season, and they've taken it's a violent game, and it's almost like if your quarterback didn't get hurt or played every game, those are the team. You're certainly one of the teams surviving. The Dolphins have taken a significant injury, what feels like every week for the last 2 months. Every game, it's like another key piece has gone down. It's crazy. Tua's still standing. I'm taking the Bills, though. I'm taking the Bills. Yeah.
Tim, do you think with the success of Tua staying healthy, and it's not like their offensive line was any good to begin with, that he really hasn't taken all that many hits this year, do you think that other quarterbacks will do judo training in the offseason?
They should try to emulate something here, because in a year where every quarterback got injured, just about, he managed to navigate it. Good for him. I love the Dolphins against this number for this game.
Listen to you.
I think the spread's wrong.
The
spread's wrong.
Oh yeah, sure you do.
Like it should be Miami by 2.5. This
Why?
game's in Miami. So I feel like Kathy Bates in that scene from Misery when she's talking about how she used to go to those serial movies and the guy was trapped in the car and couldn't get out. And then the next week he got out anyway and everyone clapped and she said, "Do you people all have amnesia? Have you forgotten what happened?" Like the Bills just nearly lost to the Chargers and to the Patriots, the two worst teams in the AFC.
Fair.
Miami just beat the Dallas Cowboys at home in a great game. And then, they lost to the Ravens, the best team in the AFC when everything went wrong. One team is going in a much better direction than the other. The Dolphins are in a better position. The Bills secondary doesn't have anybody who can play. As long as 10 is out there and 17 can play and Tyreek can throw the ball, and Tua can throw the ball, the Bills don't have an answer in the secondary. That team should have lost to the Chargers and Patriots. Inexplicable the way they played the last 2 weeks. Buffalo's been a bad football team the last couple of weeks. Now you tell me they're coming in to Miami and they should be a field goal favorite in the game. I think that is ludicrous. I think the Dolphins ought to be a 2.5 point favorite. They're making Buffalo a 3-point favorite. I can't make heads or tails of it. And the whole world loves Buffalo. Everyone I've heard talk about the game loves Buffalo. Well, not me. I think the Dolphins win this game. I just think you got to play them. A home dog in this spot when the Bills are playing terrible and they have no secondary. You all have amnesia? Not that I want to be compared to Kathy Bates in Misery, but like it's a perfect description of what's going on here. I think the Dolphins have to be the right play, and then I hope the Dolphins lose embarrassingly the next week in the playoffs.
Both visually and emotionally, you do have big Kathy Bates vibes.
I'm happy you went there, Pat. I was thinking that. See, normally I'd be like, I think Tim is just playing something up here. But
No.
he hates both these teams, so I honestly do feel like he's giving an honest assessment. I have picked the Bills. Tim made a lot of really good points.
I think Tim makes I actually think he's kind of spot on with this one. The issue is when are you past the point of no return in terms of injuries and key things that you do well? And if you're the Dolphins, do you look at it and like, yes, you want the home playoff game. Yes, you want the 2 seed. Is this, I mean, I know the Jets might pull all their superstars from the game. Is this one where if Buffalo gets up early, they're just like, fuck it, we need to get people healthy?
Not if you could not only get 2 home games for yourself, which what the 2 seed provides, but you can knock the Bills out of the playoffs.
I understand that,
altogether.
but what if it just turns out early that they just don't got it? And like,
have they come back? Nothing against the Dolphins. Like, I don't think they've been down. Like, they haven't really come back in any of their games or needed to in their wins.
And like when these two teams were at full strength, Buffalo beat the shit out of them. Granted, it was in Buffalo.
You're right. Back in week 3.
And Buffalo, as we've seen over the past 6 weeks, just has a tendency to play essentially the exact same skill level as their opponent. Chargers suck, doesn't matter. The Bills will fumble 3 times on their own 10-yard line to make it a game. They'll do the same thing. They'll pick off the Patriots 5 times and make it a game. They'll also play Dallas and beat the shit out of them. Like, they're just a very confusing team. If you're looking for teams that can win the AFC that aren't the Ravens, the Bills are the answer, aren't they? Because they could go into.
I picked the Bills because of Josh Allen.
Listen, the Bills could go into Baltimore and beat the
It's still Kansas City.
It might still be Kansas City, but if you told me that Buffalo went into Baltimore in the playoffs in the second round and beat them by 20, I wouldn't be super stunned.
Well, Tim would
By
because
20, I
they're
would
gutless to him.
By 20, I would be. I mean, could they win the game? Yes. I think they could.
They just beat Dallas by 20.
I'm picking Buffalo
Baltimore's
this week
better.
because of Josh Allen. Like, it's a 3-point game. I'm picking the guy that I believe after Lamar is probably done the absolute most, maybe the most. He will put these guys on his back. He will win this game. The Bills will win that division, and that crowd is probably still going to be like 39% Mafia.
And Mahomes has done more for his team this year than either of those 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah, but
I digress.
but that's not how the award is. If that is how the award
Oh,
was
no,
given
I
out,
agree, but we're not talking about we're
if that's how it was given
not
out,
talking about the award. Just talking about Jeff's statement that Lamar and Josh Allen done the most for their teams. I don't agree with that statement.
Okay. Superlocks of the week. By the way, when we were talking earlier in Cust Corner about like divvying up your meals, Factor Meals has sponsored the show, and Factor Meals /Mayo 50. If you're a video viewer, you can find that down in the description. Get you 50% off, and Factor Meals will actually do all of this stuff for you. Prepackage your meals, send them to you, and then you can heat them up if that's the route that you want to take. So just throwing that out there. If you were interested in that sort of meal planning, Factor Meals will do that for you. So factormeals.com /Mayo 50 for 50% off on your first order over there. Superlocks for me. I mean, I'm the winner, so I guess I'll go last. You guys go first. You're the ones in direct competition with each other.
Houston.
Just take Indy. Make sure that we have a winner, Tim. You loved Indy.
Tampa
Bay -5. Houston. I'm going to take the Patriots -2. Because, I mean, the Jets are going to sit their studs after 2.74 quarters, Jeff.
I would.
They're studs.
And I just want you to think Belichick's back in New England, Pat, or you just?
I do. I do think that Belichick's back in New England.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I'm gonna change that. The Bears +3 is my actual super luck. I really like the Bears +3.
I like that a lot too.
And the Dolphins. That was the other one. I really, really like Miami.
Yeah. Everyone
So
seems
I
to
don't.
be
Bears
you know,
would have been
for
my
this week.
silver. My silver.
Well,
minerals.
we are recording the Best Bet show on Thursday mornings now, the rest of the year, with golf returning. So it'll be out, I mean, it'll just come out Thursday morning instead of late on Wednesday evening. But that's when we'll have the mineral picks, the gold, the silver, the bronze. And it leaves more time between these two shows. So I don't have the exact same opinions on everyone. I can formulate more opinions, do a bit more research, everything like that.
That guy Pizzola needs his own rivalries list, folks. I'm just telling you. I don't know if you saw this over the break. There's NFL broadcasters calling games.
We
who
talked.
are, like,
We
chirping
talked
him.
about it on the show last week.
Okay, great. Okay, good.
He had to be called out for it.
Yeah. He needs a rivalries list as much as anyone, self included.
Pizzola made the point though, and he's right. He didn't tag the guy in it, and he was busy calling a game. So is he searching his own name on
Carrier
Twitter?
pigeons.
So he's on Twitter while he's calling an NFL game.
Hey, there's commercial. You look at your phone. You want to see an updates on things. I don't know.
I feel like if I was calling an NFL game, not that I ever
Can
will.
I be honest? Like,
I have my phone in my
Twitter
pocket the
can
whole
be
time.
a weird place, but for sports, I mean, granted, some high-profile people have been really bad with some injury information this year, but for sports, it is still like a pinnacle of information. So I don't think it's bad to be in a prominent spot, like tracking things. I get like being self-indulgent and searching your name is weird, but using it and like to be in real time with the game and the league, I think that's very normal.
Yeah.
I don't know. Not while you're calling a game. After or before, sure.
I mean, it's
no.
probably no different than like throughout the course of this show, I just have TweetDeck open in front of me in case something breaks in news. And I have like 5 separate columns that end up coming up. If you need to get a message to someone, if he didn't see it in particular, someone else saw it and sent it to him, he would see it.
And how many times could you normally record with Rob and Kim on Wednesday, which is like in the middle of maybe of our practice sessions, and you're in real time, like giving some information on the show that just came out that obviously when we're recording on Tuesdays, coaches haven't met with any or done any of that yet.
Yeah, it actually posed a bit of a problem. We had to accommodate Cam for his filming schedule this year at the time that we had to record. But, I would always prefer to do it on Thursday mornings. I think it's easier because stuff doesn't break during the show and we have all of Wednesday's information to go off of as well.
Absolutely. Later the better.
Yeah. But
the earlier the better for clicks.
yeah. I think there's a sweet spot of that. Like you don't want to go too late because then there's not going to be enough time for anyone to watch it. But you don't want to go like I just feel like part of the Best Bet show got taken away from this year because it came out so closely to this show.
Yeah, I could understand that. It's not good for either show to be too close to each other. Each should stand alone on its own merits.
True. And this one's like 3 hours long some weeks, and this one comes out like 8. The other one comes out 12 hours later.
I see what you mean.
Like just people might not
like need enough time to consume this one, then by third, yeah.
Well, I mean, we could just make this show shorter. I mean, I don't know who would complain.
People would be furious.
Well, how entitled? How entitled?
Oh, so you're calling potential voters very entitled because they want to listen to more of you? Jeez. Doesn't seem like you're really minding
I'm not
votes
calling
there,
potential voters entitled. I'm saying if you're angry about the free product we're providing you by not giving you 3 hours, but instead 2 hours and 15 minutes, whatever, vote for Geoff anyway.
You
Prove me wrong.
Tim's
if you
got
think I'm
soups-
wrong, vote
Tim's
for
got
Geoff.
soups to blend these days, boys.
I have soups to make. I have things to do. I'm a busy person.
And just
This
Tim,
has been a fun year, though. This has been a fun year.
Oh, it's not over yet. And Tim,
No, but the regular season is over. This is the last
just
SUPERLOCKS.
take a
It's the
look here.
last of
You
the lot.
wonder how people can call an NFL game while being on Twitter. Geoff can do this entire show while being on his phone.
Geoff is on his phone on every show he's on.
Dude. I'm pulling it off at the end. I've been on my best behavior lately. Premium behavior.
Premium behavior.
That's the Patreon version of the show. Geoff is not on his phone when he is doing it. You got to pay for that, though.
Yeah, that was a golf show thing when we used to do it like Monday mornings, like as the lines were opening up.
Oh yeah, I was an animal. Sometimes in golf, I'm an animal, but my golf resolution this year is those less emotional Monday morning boards. Sacrifice a couple points, make more sound decisions. Don't feel rushed into it. But yeah, Mondays I'm like my thumbs are exploding.
Playing the one and done. Tim, can we get you, if I sign you up for it, will you play in the one and done this year?
I've played it in the past. If someone can walk me through how I would log in to make picks.
Walk him through.
Well, you
just read a manual for the blender from front to back, and you can't figure this out?
You can give them their phone number, and they'll give you, you get notifications to like remind you.
Yeah, they will text you like, you need to make your pick this week. It's super easy.
Okay.
Well, we'll do that this weekend when you're here, because we have the live show to do. Maybe we'll do it live on the show on Sunday night.
Now that's the content that people want.
Just don't be like Cam that time that we thought he was going to tell us his password on the air on a live show.
Well, Cam's onto something about how his computer won't let him bet anymore.
Is that why you don't bet?
It just seems like he's got a problem with his computer. It's preventing him.
Well,
the other question I had, maybe if this is not something you guys want to talk about on the air, but I thought, like you talked about on this, you talked about like last week where Geoff needed to sign up for the one and done while he was in California because he couldn't do it. But I thought that was the whole point of the VPN, that you could be wherever you wanted to be for the purposes of watching Netflix or watching, Apple Plus or whatever in the country you need to be in.
Yeah.
So why couldn't a person just put on a VPN and sign up from Toronto?
Because, it might work. It might work. And Paul would have a better understanding of this than I would.
Whoa, leave my name out.
However, I'm just saying that like you would understand VPNs better than I would.
Tim
but
too techie.
But with the it's
just an obvious question to me.
Yeah, but no one's legislating Netflix. No one's legislating Apple Plus. If you want to be in Mexico and use American Netflix, like you went through the effort, good on you. Where gambling and sports betting is so regulated, like the geo blockers, like they're actively looking for VPNs and things like that, where they just don't give a shit the other way.
And like you could literally come in third place, and then at the end they're like, "No, you violated our term of agreement from where you." Like, oh, I wish you told me that in January.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm not saying that could happen, but I feel like that would scare the shit out of me if that's how I did sign up, and I'd just be worried the rug would be pulled out from under me, like at the very end, if I was doing well.
Yeah,
I'm just paranoid like that. Though.
Yeah, but it is perfectly within the terms of service, and it's no different than like DraftKings the same way. Like if you live in Ontario, you can still play on DraftKings. You just have to drive to the border of Quebec or drive into Buffalo, enter your lineups, then you can go make your picks wherever you're at. You can do the same thing in the one and done. Like you can't play it in Ontario or Iowa or Michigan because of daily fantasy rules within those states as it pertains to this contest. But if you just sign up in a different state, you can make your picks from Michigan. That's not a problem.
Okay.
Same as the UK. Like UK for the one and done is ineligible. But if you signed up in America somewhere, you could make your picks from Britain, no problem. Maybe you just need to find someone to sign you up in those places, is what I would say. All right.
Okay. Well, that answered my question because I just wasn't sure.
Well, that was the question and answer period from Tim and Cust.
Tim and Cust.
That is not my name. I enjoyed this regular season, folks. I mean, yeah, the show continues, but like in the sense as well, this is like the last show of the season too, because it's the last one of a full slate of picks. We talk about every team where we have SUPERLOCKS, et cetera, where there's free money. What we continue, but in a way we say goodbye.
And
it's
for
been
us
fun
to hit these sort of time marks in the playoffs with so few games, we're really going to need Tim to really expand on why he doesn't think a minimum wage worker should be tipped from his successful lifestyle.
That is not what we're going to talk about, but it's going to be a real, we need you on the mic today, Geoff, situation to get to 3 hours.
Well, that will do it. Tune in
about 6 wildcard games.
Tune in to the shows the rest of the week. We have Me, Cam, and Pizzola for best bets on Thursday morning. Geoff and I for a season full of golf predictions on Friday. On Saturday, golf research for the Sony Open. And then Sunday evening live, me, Tim, and Gary, and maybe a cameo from Geoff in the final live show Sunday evening of the year. So tune in at 7:15 p.m. Eastern time as Tim and I will be live in the studio. Those guys will be on the line. And we'll talk through the games and the playoff picture for you. You can always download the podcast and listen to it after the fact. And if you leave a 5-star rating and review and subscribe while turning on auto downloads on Apple and Spotify, you get in a draw for either $200 straight cash or a free entry into the one and done race for the Mayo Cup over at fantasygolfchampionships.com. So I'd recommend you do it. And it really helps us out. All right? I'm Pat Mayo. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Pat Mayo Experience! Experience!